sorry, it's really wild because we've been hearing the stories of your guys' campaign for so long. And it's just so. Yeah. Oh, you're that person. Oh, you're that. It is kind of.
Parrot has heard much of Darian. Yeah.
He's such a simple character.
Yeah, but he hears Darian from the perspective of Anthedon.
Yeah.
See, filtering out Brian's bias of describing the stories, with Darian sometimes would grab him and say, "I'm arresting you." I'm like, yeah, I think that's fair.
What would a cop do in that situation? Okay,
I think it's kind of fair too. No, really, I think you're outside your jurisdiction. We're on Jugatnan's island in an evil sea. Totally
actually, in the evil sea, you might be the one in the wrong.
Yeah. We're all breaking Jugatnan's laws there.
I think Darian carries his jurisdiction in his back pocket. Never leave home without.
Anyway, I don't know if that's a good place for John. I don't know if that's a good place for the recorder. I could put
so
it
it's kind of like
instead.
Beverly Hills Cop, but instead of going to
right behind his head.
L.A., instead it's Jugatnan, Secret Paradise Island.
Yeah. Well, I really... No, sorry, I don't know.
I could put it over here. That way it's not like right next to someone.
Recording it.
Did you try that on Jugatnan? The banana in the tail?
You're recording it?
Yeah. For reference. I'm going to be recording all of our sessions from here on.
Well, no, hold on. Brian wants to record all of our sessions. I didn't...
It's very...
That doesn't mean he's going to. I don't really care one way or the other, but if anyone is like, no, I don't want you to, then that's enough of a reason, because I don't think I'm ever going to use the...
I don't imagine I'll ever use them anywhere either, but...
We decided to record the retelling sessions.
Yes, we'll definitely be
lunch.
recording the retelling sessions.
Yeah.
That way you'll hear what my side of the story is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. People might actually want to listen to us telling the tale afterwards, but...
And this would represent the objective truth.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh!
It might be good to occasionally, like the retelling thing, we could occasionally splice in.
Like
and this is what really
happened.
This is the rules for the world building thing.
I grew towers.
Do we have enough for the spectators?
I'll remember that next year.
How many did I get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I was seeing if there was one for you.
There's rocking chair. So,
we could... Are there more upstairs? I could go grab one.
I'll explain this all in more detail, but you can get something about it if you want.
Is there another one over here?
Sir, we're trying to get later.
You're awesome. No more effort on my behalf.
I'm going to sit in the rocking chair and knit. That's okay, I can sit in the chair.
Oh, no, I'll sit there then.
Which would you find more comfortable?
Mikaela, here's the thingy for you.
I'm good
There's
with
enough.
that. This one looks comfortable.
But it's not fair.
No.
Not really. That one is comfortable, but you're so low down, you can't really see.
Yeah, oh, I'll get those other dice.
Okay, because I got some right here.
We need a bazillion d6s.
And we also have like boring chairs and things.
Didn't the person one tell us we only had 2 d6, we had to keep passing them around?
I see nothing wrong with that. You'll be able to look over my shoulder.
Does this game have left-right binding?
I would probably be the good little angel on your shoulder, being off ignored.
Yeah, you can pick up pony names.
All we need is D6.
Isn't it good enough that I let you give my kids ponies? Do I have to go through this too?
Yep.
So everyone will need 2d6. The first, so Farrad is just observing because he wants to analyze this game. Mika said he was going to observe. I said he could play if everyone was amenable to that. So I don't know. People are amenable.
Well, I mean, especially for the world building, you know, the more the merrier.
Yeah, and there's lots of people on the list to join the campaign, but I said we're full, so we're not adding anyone to the campaign. But
Here's a whole bunch of
for the world
There's
building,
an eraser in there too.
should be fine.
Sound good to
What
me?
is this?
That's my supper.
I want it.
You can have some.
It is made
Like
out of
Edo
everything.
Japan?
Yeah.
I haven't had that for years. Are you done with this?
Yes, thank you.
So everyone will need a pencil. This really sucks, so I'll make everyone sharpen their. I don't know. Rob,
Did you get the one from upstairs?
did you go get the one from upstairs? Yeah, this one. This pencil sharpener.
Yeah, I got
Okay, here's a
It brings
sharpened
new
pencil,
meaning to the word
sharpened
suck.
pencil.
Actually, here, no. Sometimes with the sharpened pencil will explain the rules.
Pencil
Oh,
sharpener.
okay.
Here's pencils.
And a sharpener. You can use a sharpener.
Here's a
Who
pencil.
here has done this before?
No.
I've done this twice.
Before you
I've done it once.
Do you have a D10?
I do.
You don't
Has anybody else here done it before?
I did it with an 11-year-old.
I bet that was fascinating.
Pencil. It's fun, actually.
Pencil.
Pencil. Sorry, Shannon.
Okay. So I'll explain the rules. The very first thing we're gonna do is.
Don't explain the rules yet.
The first thing we're going to do is not explain it.
Before you explain the rules, does anyone need anything from upstairs? Anything to drink? Like water or whatever? Water? Big jug of water, I think?
There's warm cans of Diet Pepsi. If you prefer that.
Ooh.
I think there's warm cans of Pepsi that belong with Robert.
A growler of water would be amazing.
Okay.
It's diet and warm. Everybody's.
You can explain without me, but then I'll just be asking every 30 seconds.
Yeah, I want
Some
some
other
other
fun adjectives on there. Potentially contaminated, warm, Diet Pepsi.
So, the one caveat I will say, with Mika playing, I don't think I'll give him a cataclysm, if you're okay with that, Mika.
Yeah.
Because I'm a bit concerned about the sheer number of cataclysms that are going to come into play. There's already going to be 6 of them in 3 cycles, so.
And I'm sure willing to forego mine too if it's getting a little too cataclysmy in here.
John, if I feel like I'm not getting overwhelmed with rules, is it possible to come in late?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can always give suggestions. Everyone can always give suggestions.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot my notes I've been making all week.
Would you like to use my notes?
I need to get my.
No, it's just frustrating.
I need to look at my notes too, but that's okay. So, if they're online, are they online? Oh, they're paper.
The keys and the grids are clean.
Well, we'll be doing this 3 separate times, so.
Whenever I was slow at work, I was writing them down.
I have
And if
weapons.
anyone needs trivia,
Well, that's good for just remembering.
So I'll start by explaining. So first, what we're going to do is we're just going to, each of us will take an area, and we'll end up just drawing a rough outline of the map on the world. So, that'll define the continent or country or whatever. Like, it doesn't even have to be an island. Like, it could go off the edge. I don't know. So we'll just do that kind of randomly. There's no rules for that. And that'll just define the landmass that we're dealing with. So that'll be the starting point. So there are 3 ages, and which is just part of the normal game. And in this particular game, because you all know this, that I want to do lots of ancient ruins, so I'm going to do 3 cycles as well. So I'll go through. So cycles are the things we're going to go through. We're going to go through 3 times, whereas ages are the different things that were already in the normal game. So the ages are the age of.
Pause. Does each age consist of 3 cycles?
No.
No.
Each cycle contains a number of ages.
Yeah, each cycle consists of 3 ages, although it won't actually, but whatever. So, just forget that if you're confused by it, doesn't matter. So, there are 3 ages. There's the age of, I don't remember what the first age is called.
We'll call it geography or something?
Yeah, it has an official name in the game, but I don't care. We'll call it the age of geography, the age of whatever. That's the age where we're just, it's not really time is passing, we're just defining what's there. So in that age, we don't actually use this chart here. The only thing you can do is shape land and climate, and it costs 1 point to do 1 inch. So you can, for example, if you have 3 points, so these are the square inch, right? You could draw a forest here and say this is a forest, and you can expand the forest and whatever. You can name it if you want. You can draw whatever you want. Like it's land, it's climate. You can make mountains. You can say this area is really cold. You can say this area is, I don't know, this is a jungle. This is desert. Anything geographical, right? We're just defining the physical geography of the land. And no real time is passing. It's not like because my turn went before this forest appeared before those mountains. It's just we're just defining it.
Do we have an accepted north, south? Do we have poles and?
We can if we want.
We should
Is the world
probably do
a
that
sphere?
because in the crazy group we didn't, and it seemed like half the group assumed one end was north, and the other assumed the other was north, and we wound up calling the directions north, south, and east, west.
We'll go. This is north.
Okay.
This way. Okay.
I don't.
Towards me is north.
Unless, I guess if we make north that way, that'll be actually more varied climate. Let's make it that way.
Assuming, scale isn't defined either.
Yeah,
So,
but whatever we do.
Yeah.
So scale isn't
So
exactly
John's
defined.
south.
I don't think I did that right.
John is south.
Okay,
No, John's the North Pole.
I'm the North Pole.
John is the North Pole.
And this is not
I don't
like
think he's so cool.
this is not like the whole world map or anything. Probably this would be. I would guess the scale is probably roughly North American in size, but it might be a bit even smaller than that. Is the scale that we'll be going for. You'll sort of see how it will play out. But you can do it on any scale you want it. But that's I think what will be most reasonable for what we're doing. And so that will be the first age, and that's just all we'll be doing is defining that stuff. Then we'll move into the Age of Legends and history. And the Age of Legends is basically it's cheap to create like races and start civilizations and stuff, but like doing fine tuning things is more expensive because it's meant to just be doing big stuff, and that's where we use this table, and I'll explain all these things. Then we'll go into the Age of History, which is more fiddly bits, and the time scale is thought to be smaller. There isn't like an official time scale, but like a rough time scale might be like in the Age of Legends, I don't know, every turn is 100 years. In the Age of History, every turn is 10 years or something. But it doesn't always work out that way, right? Like sometimes it'll take 5, like it just doesn't always work out. Don't worry about the time scale, but that's just a rough idea in your mind.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention to that part. I should almost do that. Pause. Did you say my leg is broken?
Do not get that now. At any point, it's like where things are calm enough that I can eat food at home.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So, and so that's where the cycles will come in. We're going to go through the legends and history 3 times. So we'll do geography, legends, history, legends, history, legends, history, and
at some point we'll break and finish up in 2 weeks.
We'll this won't all be done tonight, and the idea is that we'll have a bunch of old ruins, and we'll be busting them up, and then the final time we go through it, we'll actually set the present for the campaign to start. So I'm just going to go through these one by one. So the shape, line, and climate, you can still do that during the other phases if like something strikes you as interesting. It's just way more expensive, the thing about it is you can do it in 2 ways. You could say like something actually happens that makes a mountain appear, or you could just be like, oh no, there was just always a mountain here. It's just I didn't think that it was cool till I drew it just now, right? So you can just say, oh, there always was a mountain here. It just costs more points. Right? Creating a race or civilization. So like basically that's for creating races like elves and humans and goblins and whatever. And you could also use it to actually that'd be more sub-race. So creating a kingdom or a sub-race would be like these are the Persians, these are like a big empire over here. Or you could make drow or whatever, right? Sub-race or making a kingdom. You can command a civilization or like a kingdom. Actually, that's fine. So commanding them, you can command a particular civilization or a particular city. And that's just basically a very all-purpose thing for like make them do something. You can see examples here. Found a city, go to war, make alliances, whatever, right? Just whatever you want to make them do, that's what you do. Advancing a civilization or city, it makes them the best in the world at whatever you advance them in. So you can make them the best in the world at opera, or the best in the world at magic, or the best in the world at swordsmanship, whatever, right? That's the level of granularity there.
So if someone else has just made their thing the best in the world at something, but you wanted yours to be the best in the world in that, what happens?
Technically you
That's
can't,
what cataclysms are for.
well, technically you can't, but you can just sort of negotiate to do something.
Yeah. So before why don't I just go into that sort of meta rule beforehand? So this whole thing is predicated on us just doing whatever. So if someone comes along and does something that wrecks your plans, you can just say, oh, hey, would you mind not doing that? Because I wanted to do this, right? Like, we're just doing something collaboratively, right? So if someone's like, oh, I'm going to wreck your civilization, and you can say, well, actually, I had a cool plan. Can you wreck it in 5 turns? And, like that's the thing. Also, I was thinking, and like sometimes you're concerned that someone will do something you don't want to do, and you can just like call dibs on it. For example, I really want to. Well, first off, I'm going to create My Little Pony, so I'm calling dibs on that.
Don't call them My Little Ponies.
And second, Brian's making an uber magical civilization. I want to call dibs on destroying it. So like you can do that if you're scared that someone's going to wreck it. If you have a cool idea but you can't bring it to fruition for 20 turns, then you can just like. You can just call dibs, and and if someone else really is like, oh, but I had a cool idea, just work it out, right?
And don't worry, he's just making Earth ponies, and
you can make a sub race.
I've got some plans of my own here.
So, yeah, this is very collaborative. So, just be ready to be ready to negotiate. And if someone wrecks your plans, just ask them nicely to not wreck your plans and work out a solution, right? So back to the things, Purify City, and there's Purify and Corrupt City and Civilization. That's just for making good empires and evil empires. And there's some examples. You can purify and corrupt them multiple levels, right? So like, for example, in my mind, like say a -1 evil city is like +1 is good and -1 is evil. So a -1 city is like, they're like decent folk, but they keep slaves. That's like a -1, and like you could get all the way down to like super negative, right? What? There's lots of like
tiny little thing. Just a little.
What? There's lots of
America?
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway,
most of the good civilizations of our world have had slaves.
I know I have.
Well, and it's historical epics. Practically every civilization did.
So anyway.
You're no longer Megiddo.
I don't think Canada ever did actually.
You can make things multiple levels of good and multiple levels of evil. Like -1 evil is just a little evil. Like -5 evil is probably the most you'd go. -10 is like that's like sort of ridiculous, like the deep Zujatnan. Like it's just like doesn't really make that much sense anymore. Evil. So that's
their way of saying high involves torture.
Yeah.
How pure were the Eladrin in there?
I think they went to +7 or something, but that really was just I think that John Fedorky just didn't have anything to do with this point, so he kept purifying the Eladrin.
Describe city and describe civilization. Those just let you make something true about them. So you just like those are some good examples there, right? Like you just say, in this country, everyone talks with a southern drawl, and just. The best ways to do that is to add things that people will get, like things like southern drawls or stuff that people will immediately recognize. For example, don't do the thing where the trees retract into the ground because like no one can imagine that. But if you have an idea, but it's also
cool though.
But
you would always like travel at winter and then you have.
Because you would say that
if there's some point to it, then sure. But if there's no point to it, don't do it.
But it's just a way of making something interesting true. Although when you found a civilization or a city,
no, but it's cool.
when you found a civilization or city, you can typically describe it then too, like for free. So if you're like, yeah, they found this city and like they make it out of gold, or whatever. Like, this is for like after the fact, like. Oh, after a while, eventually something happens. Or if you're modifying someone else's city, or you didn't think of it at the time, or whatever, right? And then the last thing is raising an army/horde. So spending this once will... So it's assumed that you don't have to worry about defending yourself, like this isn't a war game. So it's assumed everyone has an army for defense. Raising an army will raise like a standing army for attacking, and raising a horde will raise like a massive army horde. And those are just purely flavor, right? It's just like because there are no real rules for combat. I'll talk to you about the rules for combat, but it's just for flavor, right? Like so, and it sort of makes sense, right? If you're like they have a massive horde and they just like go crushing these things one after another, that makes sense, right? Versus if they just have an army, maybe they'll attack their neighbor or something, right? So the only real difference for there is just when you're justifying how much you're busting up the place, it making sense, right?
So if you want to have a warlike civilization, you have to actually spend money on them going and attacking various people. You can't just say
you have to tell them to command them to destroy this nation or that nation or whatever, right?
Can't they just destroy nations that don't actually exist?
Well,
I mean, you could probably do a corrupt civilization or describe civilization where you're like these guys are raiders. The neighboring countries are afflicted by their raids.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you have to use
actually
command
go
to take over countries and
Yeah, if you
stuff.
want to
It's
go
not
and
actually
sack a
command.
city or something like that, then that actually is something you have to do.
So,
They don't sack themselves.
you notice these ones are in gray. It's mentioned at the bottom. Basically, those ones, in order to perform them, you either have to have founded that city or civilization, or you have to have an influence there. And you see there's this thing down here, a few down, called influence. So you can basically use that to get influence in a city or civilization, and you just have to come up with a reason. Like, say, these are some examples. You found a new religion there, you create a thieves guild, whatever. Just if you basically, so let's say Robert makes a civilization, and I want to be like intimately involved in changing them up and stuff, right? I want to change the direction. I want to tell them to attack. Robert, by default, because he created them, he can do all that stuff. But if I want to be able to do that, I have to have some influence, and it just has to be any reason, right? I just be like, oh, it turns out that, whatever, they found a new religion there, and so now I have influence there.
Effectively, you just have to spend a few extra points to be able to do it.
Basically, and then you have to come up with a reason. But,
Okay, so is this an okay time to ask?
yeah.
So I have something in my mind that I want to be in the final world that exists, right?
Yeah.
But we're going through a couple, what are they called?
Cycles, yeah.
Of this. So what happens if Shannon or Tim or Robert or even Brian comes in and influences it up and screws up my final plan?
You just ask them not to.
But I don't want to reveal what my, you know, like what
Well,
if
you
it's sort
just
of a
say-
You just say,
secret-
please don't do that, it wrecks my plan.
Okay, nobody touch my stuff.
Sorry, that's
No.
too general.
Part-
I'm totally touching your stuff.
No,
Yeah,
you
part,
are not.
part of the game is touching
Yeah.
each other's stuff and adapting your
Yeah.
plan.
Oh, this is getting vaguely creepy now.
We take each other's stuff and we manipulate it in various ways that were unexpected.
I have an idea, like I have a whole elaborate civilization and
Well,
ecosystem
well, you
in
can
my
make-
mind.
I assure you that
I don't
the
want
end
ponies
result.
in it.
I assure you the end result is not going to look like that, no matter what any of us do, including yourself.
Although
But the result you do get will be unexpected and interesting,
And
I assure you.
I actually haven't had people, like when I had plans, I didn't find that people wrecked them. Even I didn't even have to ask them
Yeah.
not to.
I'm not
Well,
good
it
at
depends. It depends just how elaborate your plans are. I mean,
I wouldn't worry about it, huh?
It involves a lot of.
well,
I
you
wrote
may
it all
have
down.
to. You may have to adapt and adopt things on the fly.
So
I guess
You
since
can
we're
always
doing
spend
the
points to like reverse things that people did to you.
Although just outright
You
reversing something is boring.
Well, yeah,
So-
that's kind of cheating.
But
isn't
you,
it?
but you
You
can
said
make it have
really
like
interesting.
twists and turns.
Yeah, I mean,
To where, oh, there was a thieves guild that came in. Oh, in which case the guards revamped, and now they have eradicated all thieves. They've hung them up on the rafters. It's like,
At the
okay,
very end.
It would be fun to have like a city that's been destroyed and recreated 8 times over the course of history. So you're like, no plan, yes.
I mean, you could have a city adventure with
Wouldn't that be
ruins.
Spare
Yeah.
paper to keep track of what we're doing.
oh, your points and stuff. Oh shoot, I need my laptop because I need to write down what we're doing. Crud.
You know what? There's something called paper.
It's easier on the laptop.
Yeah,
That's the final
keeping
form I
notes
want.
is easier on laptop.
You have to make notes?
Yeah.
Well,
I need
one
to
of us,
explain
at
that.
least one.
Um,
Or I'm not recording device.
it's not
Yeah,
gonna
but
be.
then I have to listen to it after the fact.
It's not gonna be as good also
People wanna
because
listen to you.
it's not gonna record the visuals and stuff like that. That might make things have more context.
So,
Should have gotten a video.
so going back to this thing, the other things that can happen
Play world building.
is an event. An event is just it's a very general. You just put, it's for general things that happen, right? There's some examples here: gold mine, famine, blah blah blah.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So is this designed to only have one legends and then one history?
Yeah.
Originally,
Okay,
design.
that's why. Because otherwise it's like, well, why would you bother creating
Yeah.
elves in the legends thing when you could do it in history? Like, that makes no sense. It costs so much more because it's going to happen several times. So if you do it the first time you have history, it's still going to be an
Right.
ancient race.
Right. So we're gonna be so the first 2 cycles
Be
is
like
stuff
the
to be
Hittites or
destroyed.
something.
If you want your thing to actually be present in the campaign, you need to do it in the 3rd cycle.
Well, I'm sure there'll be some survivors.
There'll be some survivors. Oh, so that brings up
Everything's getting destroyed?
well, no, but there'll be major cataclysms in the first 2 cycles because I want lots of old ruins. Remember?
My moles.
Make them in the 3rd age.
They're ancient.
Then make them
Then
in the
make
first
them
stage.
ancient and then remake them in the second age because they go. You assume that a couple of them always hide underground and they come
No,
up
well,
and
that's
Here's,
not
here's the thing.
genetically
Here's the thing. Here's the
possible.
thing.
They're-
To
they're
to
tenacious.
No, they won't have
Since the point of this game is to create things, it's not easy to destroy things completely. I mean, you can build a city and then you can wreck it, but then you have a wrecked city. If you want to completely erase the thing, that costs a lot of points. It costs as many points as it took to create it in our first place.
So, for example, if you come in and you wipe out the Elvish race, it's assumed that there are still elves around, right? They're just
refugees.
Yeah,
refugees.
They don't have any.
If you actually want to kill every single elf on the planet, you got to pay the cost of creating the elves to destroy them, which no one ever does, because that would be lame, right?
Okay.
Well, it could still have some interesting.
So if you destroyed the elves, they might be like the way that they were in like Lord of the Rings, to where the elves are essentially, we're almost, eclipsed. We're just going away. Leave you guys in peace.
Yeah, well, but even then, destroying them, when you pay the price, that's meant to wipe them out. But it's always assumed that they're survivors.
And I mean, there'll be tons of elven artifacts around, and there'll be elven undead and things like that. So.
Archaeologists specializing in elven stuff.
People obsessing about their religion.
Yeah.
You can pay 10 points to have a catastrophe. A catastrophe, 10 points affects a 1-inch square. If you want to do more than that, you have to pay more. But usually a city is in 1 square, right? So if you want to wipe out a city, that's your catastrophe. You get 2 free catastrophes, because I want there to be lots of catastrophes and cataclysms. You all get 2 free catastrophes, but you have to use them in the first and second cycle, because the third cycle is what we're going to play in, right? So you can't get your you can pay for catastrophes in the third cycle, but you don't get them free in the third cycle. You just have to use your 2 free in the first 2. And on that note, there's also a thing that's not in the normal rules called a cataclysm, and that's basically you can do whatever you want as long as it's destructive. So destroy up the place, because we want these ages to have old ruins that are totally busted down. You have to use your cataclysms in the first 2 cycles. Other than that, you get 1 free cataclysm, and like I said, it can be exceptionally powerful as long as it's destructive. I mean, probably don't just say, "Oh, the whole world is destroyed," because
it explodes into an asteroid field.
But no,
that'd be an interesting scenario.
But still, you're basically unlimited what you can do.
It's a very different sort of campaign world.
Asteroids that are on fire.
But you could have a meteor or something hit, right? Wait, if it's hit, is it a meteor?
So you can also
defining the world. We can make it.
You can also create legendary entities. Legendary entities. Originally, this was create a legendary being, which is sort of like an avatar of a god or something. But it can be. It's just some entity of immense power. So I don't know. Well, yeah. The examples are an artifact, an avatar, holy site. It's super powerful, and then through that holy site, you can do any other action as long as it makes sense that they would be involved at -1. And just don't abuse that too much. But a classic example is some avatar of the god of war descends to Earth and helps this army fight, right? And then you just go around and all your attacking countries is at -1, and you just start toasting the place with it.
Just to encourage you to use entities.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would just say don't
go nuts.
Don't go nuts with that, because it kind of gets weird if everything is a legendary entity all the time. But maybe make 1 or maybe 2 in the course of your game. I would say is what's worked well.
Does an entity have to be extraplanar? Or I guess
no.
An avatar.
No.
It could just be an amazing scientist or something.
Sure.
Yeah, it just has to be something super extraordinary, right? Not just extraordinary, but super extraordinary.
You'd probably want to make him something that's immortal, though. If you make him
that's what?
Immortal or something, because otherwise his last couple rounds. And then
I guess I'll spoil one.
But his writings could.
Yeah, I mean, you can make him immortal.
That effective.
The legendary entity I have in mind that I guess I'll spoil.
Don't
spoil.
No, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, spoil it.
Triforce.
Oh no!
No!
Whatever that is.
I got good Triforce.
Alright. So the last thing to mention is, so I like the idea of having characters who are from previous ages. So the classic example is your character was from a previous age, from a civilization of a previous age, and I don't know, they fell into an iceberg and got frozen for 1,000 years, and now here they are, right? Or got turned to stone for 1,000 years. I mean, I don't want the whole party made up for that, but I'd love to have a couple people that are like that. I just think that's interesting. It'll work well with the ancient ruins stuff that I have in mind. So if anyone is willing to basically build their whole character's backstory in a previous cycle and have it totally trashed, and their character is just around for some reason that we'll come up with, then I'll give you 10 free points to build your character's backstory. You just can claim it at any time. You're like, all right, I'm in cycle 1, and my character is going to be part of this empire. 10 free points. It just gives you a bonus. That's sort of like, it's like getting, I don't know, that's roughly equivalent to probably getting about an extra 2 turns, probably. I don't think everyone will bite on that, but if anyone's willing to bite on that, then you don't even have to decide now. You can just, you can if you want, but you can just basically at that time, you'd be like, you know what, I'm going to bite on this. You get your 10 free points, and then there you go.
Do you have to spend them all at one time?
No.
How do the points in like the flow of the game work?
Yeah,
So-
how many turns do you
So what you do,
Here's the thing.
so what you do is every turn you roll the dice, and you get that many points, 2d6. And but the thing is, the game encourages you not to save up points. So if you have less than, is it 6? I don't remember. I don't have the full.
Oh.
I think it's 6. If you have less than 6 or less points, then you get a bonus point. And every turn that you've gone, that you ended your turn with 6 or less points. Every turn you've gone, you ended your turn with 6 or less points. Your bonus keeps accumulating up to, I think it's 4 points. I'm just making that up because I don't have the paper right now. I'll get it out
Let's
of my
go
laptop.
with it.
But so for example, I spend all my points on less than 6 points. Next turn rolls around, I end my turn with less than 6 points. You just have to keep track of the ticks. It makes it easy, right? And so next turn, I get a bonus point. So I roll, I get this much plus my bonus point. And I spend them so I'm less than 6. Next turn, I get this much plus 2 bonus points. It goes all the way up to 4 bonus points, and then it sticks at 4 forever. So you can save up, but spending gives you more points over the course of the game. So, I guess first we'll just start by drawing the map.
No.
Oh.
So how many turns do I get for the legend cycle?
Until we decide to go
Yeah.
on to the next cycle.
It's totally arbitrary.
Yeah.
So you
I
really
like that.
can't plan if you don't know what's happening.
You can plan because you can say you're done when your plan is done.
Alright.
Just don't stretch it out too much.
So,
Okay, so
Like if you're just one turn away from getting your thing finished, we're not going to say, oh no, totally, we're done.
Okay, so if I have an elaborate
Speakers.
ecosystem with a lot of like random animals that aren't playable characters, they're just interesting animals in it, do I have to create each one separately,
No.
or can I be like, this is the
it's an
Yeah.
ecosystem.
the
Yeah.
jungle and it has some interesting creatures in
Yeah.
it?
It's also
do I need
assumed
to
the
describe them
Yeah,
then, or
if the creature
If the
species
characters go there, then I
is
want
significant,
them to
then
You can always talk to me after if you have some particular thing. And if you want to actually have a secret, you can totally, like, for example, I'm actually planning to do this. I'll be like, this happens, and no one knows why. I know why, but no one knows why. And that might come up in the campaign. If you want to do the same thing, obviously you'll have to tell me after the fact, but you have that ability to be like, some mysterious force causes this, and then afterwards you can email me and be like, the mysterious force was Fred's dog. You know, like, okay.
Or you can
Totally
just say,
making
like,
bold.
I have no idea what caused that. Make something up.
So if everyone wants to grab, let's see, a portion of the map, there are,
we get a portion?
just to draw the
this is just
outline.
the initial,
Get in there.
like, continental
Yeah,
outline.
you gotta get in here.
Okay,
I'm gonna start.
just wait. I'm taking forwards.
Nope.
Yours.
no rest for the weary.
I thought this
Actually,
cost money.
don't even make it at that level, because that would, you would just pay,
That's
to make those.
amazing.
So we're
Just because we're just going to draw like a quick line, right?
Yeah, just have something to start with.
Can we make islands, or is that later?
No, you can make islands. Just start.
So this is north, eh?
Yeah.
I know all of them.
Yeah, there isn't that much to each person's section, because
Just whatever.
I'm already know, so
This is
Oh.
land here.
Where-
I'm assuming that, yes.
Which
Tim,
side
I'm
of yours
telling
is
Tim,
land?
which side is this
land?
land?
Now this happens.
Which is
I
land? Which
intend
is
to say
I'm
it
saying
should be
this
land,
is
but
land.
it doesn't
This is
matter.
land.
I don't
This
care.
actually happened.
land.
This actually
Yeah.
happened with my
This is
with the
land.
World of Agrabia. There was
This is
a
land.
confusion over
This
what
is
was
land
land and
now.
what wasn't, and we wound up. with-
Yeah, I think that works. I think it makes.
This is land? Or is
Yeah.
this
Wait,
lake?
what?
These lakes?
There, you need to do
No,
this. This is your area.
I was starting assuming ocean and then I drew land
Just
in it.
finish
Well,
connecting
it's okay.
the lines.
Let's
Just making the lines
Connect
over
it
here.
like this.
Where does this line connect up to?
That's the problem.
Does that
See,
make
I thought this
That was
line
my line.
This is land.
That was I was
Oh,
imagining
wait,
that to be
This can
land.
go over here.
Okay,
Wait,
hang on a sec. Hang on
Hang on
a
a
sec.
sec.
Hang on a sec.
Which is
Wow.
land over? This is
That's
land there.
kinda weird.
It works now.
No.
Yay!
We had way
It
too
works.
many cooks on that one.
Yeah,
Um,
that's it. It's
It works.
success.
It's a land
It
mass.
kind of works.
That's land, land, land,
actually.
land.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
It
so
does.
if this is land, there.
Why don't we?
So,
should we
okay,
shake the
let-
water because
Yeah, just
the land
just
will
go
have
like
stuff
this
on it?
for your C. I assume this is C, right? Is this C?
There we go. Okay. Last time around, we didn't have 6 people doing it simultaneously. Or 7, actually.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Well, also for your purposes, if you were doing a kingdom, you'd probably just have the map pre-drawn.
No, actually, because the thing is I
Now, bear in
definitely
mind,
want
some of this may
to.
need to be erased and redrawn.
For my campaign, I definitely want people to have the
draw
freedom
lightly.
to draw part of the map, so this would happen.
Well, you could have the. But if you know what kingdom is, you know the shape of the kingdom.
I would.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I'd want them to be able to have the freedom to draw in the sort of insides of it a little bit.
Okay, so
Highest
highest roll goes first. Just roll. I roll on 2d6. Why not?
I'm gonna make it like
Oh,
wait.
do we need
That-
scrap?
No, now Lake is usually costing. This is actually more complex of a map than usually would start with, but it's fine.
John,
Yeah.
that looks like a chicken. Do we have do we get scrap paper or anything? Or
Oh, yeah, we'll need
scribble on
scrap-
the back of ours. Or
We'll need scrap paper, or you could just use this because you'll need to keep track
So
of
each
what
person gets
cataclysms you've used.
1 dice, 2 dice.
2 dice, 2d6.
Actually, you know what? I don't need my laptop until we get to the age of legend.
Well, you need to know what the limits on the bonus points and stuff were.
Tim, your dice are boring. I'm gonna replace them with pretty. Okay.
That was pretty good.
Highest roll goes first. I got a 9. You guys start with
I gotta say.
Oh, I like the way.
No, shoot. Look at this.
Roll 2d6.
Oh,
You did not get higher than John.
I got 6.
That's fine.
John got 9. Anyone beat 9?
I beat 6, and by beat I mean got.
John goes first. How suspicious.
I call shenanigans.
Are those dice loaded?
Were you talking South Park shenanigans or some other form of shenanigans? If so, I'm going to leave.
Yes, get some grapes.
Oh, grapes.
We need chocolate. Did anyone need chocolate?
No, but I thought about it. For like the Calibo.
We have new water
That was
lakes.
I thought about it. I was like, oh.
Oh, here we go. There we go. It adds, it makes it sort of aged. You know.
Don't tell John.
Yeah, we won't tell that.
John,
Yeah,
telling you.
Anyway, you go first,
You walk
John.
around the table and okay.
I discovered that I actually do that.
Yeah?
I actually hum when I'm trying to be conspicuous. I discovered it and I was like, wow, that's really creepy.
Creepy. It's
I
just.
watch too much TV, I guess.
It's not creepy, it's just bad.
Yeah, it's just like you
You're
fail.
not never
Okay,
noticed because I will just like,
I always notice that. You usually do that when you're not actually.
no, usually when I'm actually trying to hide.
Okay.
Does somebody
Stop,
want
John, we
chips?
need
'Cause
chocolate.
they're in my way.
Robert, those aren't my favorite kind.
Alright, so I got a 9.
Dark
Yep, you go first. We all rolled, you got first.
I'm sorry, now I got 9 points because I just rolled a different 9.
See, totally, that's suspicious.
It was a different 9 though. The other one's a 3 and a 6.
No,
This is
I
a
don't-
5 and a
I
4.
don't believe
They're
you.
still loaded.
I don't know what I want to do.
They're just
You want to get me
multi-loaded.
some chocolate to share.
Well, this is geography, so 9 squares of junk.
Okay, so what? Now we get
We're-
points. This
yeah.
is our points we got when we just rolled?
No,
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 we
no,
roll
no,
again.
no,
I'm
no,
rolling
no.
to see who
see
goes
those
first.
And then now John rolled, you got 9 again. So.
Is anyone cold?
Nope.
Nope.
This map does not work with my ideas.
Change your ideas.
We can change things though.
But you can do some.
You can even
Oh yeah, I could do
change
some
the
meteor or
cosine
something. Totally destroy
Alright, okay, so this area,
Meteors are not the solution to all of life's problems.
Oh, Brian.
this area here is an extremely shallow sea. So the ocean actually comes over here, but it's all sand, and most of it is about this deep. It gets to about this deep in the deepest places. So it's just this big, gigantic, shallow, sandy area. So you can totally cross it, but you got to walk for miles and miles and miles through a really shallow
How
water.
large is an inch? What's our? Can you?
It costs 1.2.
No. Like how many kilometers?
We don't know. Well, it'll just whatever ends
This
up
is like
making
North
sense.
America or something.
No, or something.
This is somewhere. I'd say this is probably.
Is that a big sea?
Yeah.
Big.
Okay.
I guess this is probably. Well, in my mind, this is probably half the size of North America. I don't know. It's big. Like, I would say there's probably room for 10 small kingdoms in here, kind of a thing. But we'll see what makes sense with the scale when we're done. So that's my turn. I'm at 0 points. So then I just put a tick for myself that I've just done one turn ending less than 6. And I'll find out.
Oh dear.
And now it's 10.
9. Okay.
Suspicion rising.
I wish I had.
Hey, Brian, could you plug this in for me? It's right there.
6.
Plugged in.
You can always expand things that aren't quite big enough later. Like, I think I might expand that sea a little bit, because I would have liked to have been... Well, actually, it's more interesting that way. Maybe I'll keep it. Also, these maps tend to end up being a little bit gritty looking, but I'll make Brian do it because he's better at it. But he'll make up a version that, like, you know, if we have a river that has a bunch of square corners, he'll make up a curvy version. You can also feel free to, like, fudge the edges of the squares and stuff. Please don't feel constrained by the
9, you get 9 squares.
So it costs 5.
No, that's in Legends.
Yeah, this time all you can do is create land.
Legend.
No,
So I don't need to look at
geography.
this at all.
No,
It just costs
right.
1 per square, and I have some dice.
We'll find out. It looks like a forest.
That's what it looks like. But then he's doing weird things on the coast with it.
He's
Surface
making
cloud.
use of
Well, actually, if you describe it up front while you finish drawing, someone else can
Surface
start.
cloud. Yeah, this is a jungle, and I've got 3 more points.
Want to write jungle on it?
Yeah, good call. Just write it right on the map.
I thought it was Aspen.
Yeah, good point.
And that leaves me at 3. This is Badlands.
Where? Ooh, like hoodoos?
It's exactly like that, except of course
Like
it's really
writing on
cold because it's
stone?
far north. Like writing on stone.
Hey, can we do tectonic shifts?
And that's my turn.
As long as you can.
Because you could just rip the
Now, I
page,
can't
right?
remember, Mika, you're doing the full points and stuff, right? Yeah.
That would be a catastrophe if you were actually were to do something like that, but you could.
Very suspicious.
Yeah. Whoa, what's going on?
It's like if we went around everybody at 9s and then you roll like 2 ones.
Take out.
Yeah.
Oh.
He keeps rolling that. He's gonna have a very
Not
uneventful
Alright, Mika,
creation.
do something.
I will place a mighty mountain range. That cuts off this peninsula here.
So if do I still get the bonus for using all my,
Yeah, not this turn, though.
not during creation?
Well, no,
Oh, no,
not
no.
this turn, because...
No,
Yeah,
I don't
during
get
this
it.
phase,
If
yeah.
I save.
Yeah, so I kept a tick to show that I got a bonus point. No, actually, sorry, I forgot. Now I remember how you do it. You can just hook it on to your points, right? Oh no, you still have to keep a tick to remember how many.
Yeah.
Never mind. Forget I just said anything.
Okay.
What?
That was the easy.
Anyway, while Mika's drawing those mountains...
I already rolled.
Okay, what did you get?
7.
Okay.
Combo breaker!
Alright.
You can breathe easy
I
now.
feel better now.
Shannon, you were telling me a concept about that city that we were going to work together with.
Yeah, I don't remember it now.
Well, are you going to do it in the first cycle anyway?
not doing
'Cause if
it right
not,
now.
We're not doing cities
No.
right now, so...
No, but
no, I mean, even the
I know.
first cycle. Like, I don't think we'll get past the first cycle tonight. So if it's second
Well-
cycle or third cycle, then it doesn't matter. Maybe if it's first cycle, then yeah, it does matter.
What's more interesting?
well, you
than
see,
jungle?
I'm planning
But
on
it's sort of true-ish.
creating a race of elves and having them
You can do like those,
I'm gonna
you know
cataclysm.
those, like especially if
During
you're in
the,
the Coliseum there,
Right,
where they have
second
the,
cycle, they wanna make it then.
yeah.
Mangrove forest.
What's that?
And my
Florida.
character's backstory will be there, so I'm going to claim that.
like those
Trees,
cycle.
trees growing out
Brackish.
of water.
Yeah, like there's
Brackish.
brackish,
Okay.
pseudo salty water, pseudo fresh water, and there's weird. Yeah.
And there, it's like
So-
you walk
Sort
it,
of swampy.
Yeah. Oh, I want to.
You can.
So,
Okay.
I found the exact numbers. You have to end your turn with 5 or less points, and the bonus maxes out at +3.
Oh,
Okay.
5 or less.
What are you doing there?
Roll away.
4.
And you only do geography once, right? You're not going to do.
Yeah, we're not going to redo geography.
Though you
But you
can
can
do
use
anything we're
points.
doing here, just
With
at a
the
higher
shape land.
cost.
You can mod it later. So later it'll cost 5 points per inch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really expensive.
Yeah.
That's the idea. We don't want to have like, oh, suddenly it turns out everything was different.
Though the only time that something costs 1 point is basically now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can you use a catastrophe to modify? Like, can you say this was
Kind of, but it would.
jungle and now
It's just
it's
basically
a
modifying an inch is a point. So you could say it's a catastrophe. It's just like a meteor hits and it destroys this inch. Yeah.
Anyway, this island here is really hollow and it has a lot of like weird twisty caves and stuff inside.
Ooh.
With passages and shit like that through it.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, that's 3 points. I had 4, so I have 1 left. So
You're below the threshold. You can save it.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, my turn. Let's see if I get 9. No, I got 7.
Haha, you're on my team.
The 17.
I'm on no one's team.
No, you're on my team. Like it or
Let
not.
me see. What will I do?
We'll call ourselves.
You do multiple
I need to
things.
spend at least
Lovely
2 of them.
law.
Make a mountain and a forest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As long as you have enough points. Yeah.
Let me see.
These
7,
references
7
lost on
points.
Brian. Shannon, did you ever
I will.
have a Lady Lovely Law?
It was
That
My
was a good
favorite.
idea.
Did you have like
Doll.
a doll?
Yeah.
I didn't have a doll. I just had like some
It's
little.
just like shorter than
Helper
Murray with
people.
really long hair. It was awesome.
I had some little creatures
I'm
with
gonna
long
make a
hair
river.
tails. You could wear them in your
When was that?
Lady Lovely
80s.
Law.
I don't know.
2, 3, 4.
Girl toys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been.
Did
You guys-
You had one
It
of
was
those
not
dolls
the Star
that
Wars
you raised
action
the arm
figure,
and
that's
her
not interesting.
ponytail grew.
I think it was Alex.
Oh, I had one of them too.
Yeah.
Do you still
I was
have
more
yours?
of a Ninja Turtle.
Sorry, what did
God,
you
I
say?
wish.
7
It wasn't a
points.
Star Wars action
That's a river.
figure, thus I know nothing of it.
My primary action figures were bald because they were turtles.
My brother didn't have action figures. Oh, I'll just start here.
Like so often with my Star Wars figures.
Uh-huh.
Lovely crinkly bits.
What did you make? Yours?
Fjords.
Oh, I like yours.
Are you gonna carve your name in it?
Oh, fun.
It's like a bird nest. I like that name.
Sorry, one moment. I'll be ready.
I like them in the video.
Where were you wanting?
Our friend Mike was saying that apparently his dad was actually considering naming him that.
Oh.
Naming him what?
Sort of Barfest.
Like, really?
Oh man.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's like as bad as Luke
Naming
and
one's
Leia.
children after fictional characters, that's just... it's gonna screw them
The
up.
thing is that individually, once they get out of high school, they'll be fine.
It's practically abuse, really. I mean, jeez.
Luke and Leia
I
are
don't know
great.
about Fjords.
I agree.
They're a nice name.
They're good names.
Did I tell you the one time that I actually went into?
Yeah.
Or were you there? Were you there?
Sure. Sorry,
Where I walked into the elevator, and there were two QA
Yeah,
guys,
sorry.
and
I'm just looking at my
you know,
Disney
I
channel.
mentioned the fact that I had twins recently, and they're like, "Oh, cool." He's like, "You know what you should do? You should totally name them Luke and Leia." And then I said, "Art did." And then the guy's like, "No." And then one of the QA guys that knew me, he's like, "Awesome."
Oh, I gotta roll.
Oh.
John, you're
This is
cheating.
rigged.
Sixes in.
That's
I would
okay,
trade
as long
Grace
as he
for
burns
Leonard,
all
so
of
much
his
more
sixes
attractive.
during the
Yeah, now rather than
the geography, he can't nuke my elves.
Actually,
That's
I
your
want
job.
dice now.
Did you say elves or house?
Elves.
Oh.
I thought I heard owls.
Oh, good idea,
nuclear owls.
Owls!
Nuclear owls.
The big owls.
Were you all about like the animal
With
race?
little radiation symbols.
Not playable races, but I just like owls.
I'm my
Their eyes
my
glow
race
in the
is-
dark.
my character's
You
gonna
can
be
turn their
like
head all
one
the way
race.
around. I mean, what's not to
Alright.
like?
So this is up north. This jungle is very strange.
Whoa, whoa. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Some sort of magical influences upon it. It's actually an ice jungle. For some reason, these tropical plants are able to live. It's not ice jungle, but it's really cold there. And for some reason, these tropical plants are able to live and look just like tropical plants, even though it's like Edmonton climate. It's weird. So
Yep.
Oh.
I can't. Can you write ice from your perspective, Tim?
Yep.
John, can you get some chocolate for everybody?
And that leaves me with 2 points, which I'll say.
He has
Or
some.
for me and you.
Well, you know.
Okay, Tim, your turn. Sorry that took so long. I just had to.
Mika would really like some chocolate.
He is a guest.
He's our guest.
The problem is I can't get chocolate without revealing where my chocolate's. Robin's chocolate. I have a secret chocolate stash to give to Robin when she wants chocolate.
Sick.
So, but
not that
idea.
I'm an ogre who needs to be
Placated.
periodically.
You're expanding your hoodoo?
It's just
I'm
that you
expanding my
can't be
voodoo
trusted.
stuff.
Robin
I
smash!
was jungle there, but I was like, I think they would do. It's just too much together. So. And also, I thought that jungle's pretty far north. I'll turn it into my because I had a plan for an ice jungle already. So,
Oh, what's going on there?
That's the Badlands are basically growing. And I wanted that to be
I don't have
Badlands
plans
to
for
begin
anything.
with, but
Right.
You can play with this.
Ice
I can play with
bad.
this.
Actually, I sort of had a plan for this.
Yeah, let's go for it. I will
That reminds me of like
make
Game of Thrones.
I'm gonna make
This
that
is
ice
really
mango.
so. Oh wait, that's really.
so
I sort of had a plan for this.
I don't think
North,
the things if we're
deep
talking
north.
it's the size of North America.
Yeah.
This
Can
is
this
probably
be equator kind of thing?
equatorial, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm imagining this is like
Okay.
getting Arctic-ish,
'Cause
and
there's
that's
fjords
equatorial.
and
I mean, this is Edmonton area.
I'm imagining this is like Greenland.
Yeah,
hey,
like,
yeah.
This is Norway.
yeah, this could be good. Arctic Circle, equator. That's a good. And even if it's a different scale, that's how it is on this world. So that's a good plan. Put hot stuff down there and cold stuff up here.
Yeah.
That works. Does that make sense? It's not
Alright,
gonna
here
grow.
we go.
Oh, what'd you get? Whoa!
I got 13 points.
You win.
Man, I gotta do something
Just
drastic.
random idea if anybody wants an infinite chasm.
I already had that. Actually, it wasn't infinite, but it's,
I already had that idea. Well, actually, it wasn't.
It goes all the way down.
no.
It was a chasm. Well, actually, it wasn't a chasm. It was a hill.
It does go all the way down, but all the way down is an infinite.
Infinite hill.
But yeah, I might do that.
It's kind of like the Earth.
Anyway.
Well, I did want to make a desert, so
Me too. Make it over here and we'll join them together.
Oh,
and
me
make
too.
it
yeah, I
desert.
wanted to make a big old desert
I want to make
leading
it
up to
the
this thingy.
biggest dessert ever.
So
The biggest dessert.
I'm telling you, I need some chocolate.
I thought you'd think of something more interesting, Mika, not just desserts. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I said I should.
If you're gonna pun, do it properly.
Sorry.
You
Never
should
does
have.
it
You should have
properly.
told him that years ago.
Oh,
There's no
Robin.
such thing as punning properly.
Don't bring it up. Tim might
Brothers.
remember.
so that's 9 squares of desert, and I still have 4 squares left.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, perhaps
You can save it.
I can throw some infinite chasms around.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for the depth.
I don't remember.
Well, I was gonna put
Really?
something in it anyway.
Yeah.
So I could get way more area if I do hills.
Yeah, you can be like, yeah, now, and you can start building on the side of the infinite chasm. You can be like, yeah, the whole world is like down here. I just built it. It cost 3 points.
John, did you remember those spiky things I saw in National Geographic?
Which like,
The ones I was like, look at those. No.
no, but if you just make them and then you say, show me the picture later, I can use it.
Okay.
The infinite
Remember?
chasm may in
They were
fact
the ones
not
that
be
it looked sort of like a
infinite.
moonscape, like it was very desolate looking.
I
It was reddish.
too many things
No one
are
could
too
see.
many National Geographics are combining in my mind. So,
Ah.
That is the infinite chasm.
oh yeah, actually, that's a good point. Like Robin, you can start as soon as you can
I'm
describe
gonna
the
fill it
story.
up with stuff. Yeah.
Ooh, 5.
You're going to ruin my infinite chasm.
And it has-
I'm gonna,
That's good.
No, actually, I'm gonna put
Yeah.
something at the bottom.
People just start
I put
dumping their
infinite
garbage in there. And
in
finally,
quotes.
they can actually, the human race manages to create infinite garbage, and they fill the infinite chasm. Oh sweet, crispy maize. I mean, need.
More desert.
This is fun. Some can be sandy desert, some can be rocky desert.
This and this.
Well, down here it'll be muddy desert.
No!
Somebody needs to create
Well,
Shahilud.
this is sand underneath.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
can be just like,
I guess it'll be like a beach or something.
yeah.
Okay,
Infinite
what
beach.
is your desert have like, a little bit of like grassy stuff?
No,
Because this is sand.
it's sand.
This is duney, like sand dunes.
This is all duty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is it none of it's
Like
scrub?
deep
How do you
Sahara.
spell duney? Is there an E like that?
It is now.
You spell it however you like because it's not a real
Deep
word.
Sahara.
All right.
That's right, right?
It's a
Yep.
Duney
it's a
desert.
frickin' desert.
But it's not called the duney desert.
9.
Comical.
All right.
Plus 1 because I saved one. Plus 1 because I have my thingy.
When do we name the
So
thing?
that's.
You can name them now if you want, but often it doesn't.
4, 5, 6.
I got
Because different
random names here if
civilizations
you
may
want.
name them different things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think we've typically named landmarks very often. Sometimes we have, sometimes we haven't.
Yeah.
Like even within the same game, right? So like sometimes someone names a mountain, but you don't have to name everything. And I can come up with names for it when we actually go there. If you're like, I really want this mountain to be named the Mountain of Infinite Death, that's fine. You can totally do that. But
But
if
no
you
one's
don't care-
died there yet, so it makes more sense to name stuff as history's happened.
You need to,
So-
you need to leave the
I
room.
had a rough day.
Can you go to the little room?
I'm short 1 point to do the entire perimeter. Actually, I'm short 2 points to do the entire perimeter of this
Okay,
island.
you can do it next turn.
Yeah, well, I can do it next turn. But basically, it's going to be sheer vertical cliffs
Ouch.
all around the island, and
Like it? The plateau.
yeah, I guess.
Such a good time.
As long as she thinks it's
Well, that's actually that works pretty well because you know my wife often needs emergency chocolate, and often we are out of emergency chocolate. So. There you go.
Actually, I have my own stash of emergency chocolate.
Okay.
Well, she
I got
does
it.
too, but it's just depending on how
we have
frequently.
chocolate about the house.
Yeah, we do. I think I have a cavity, so I probably
You can come back now, hon.
Okay, so it's my turn then. I'll just go ahead. Woo!
Ah, you're a
nice.
Clover.
Yes.
Ryan, you're not on my team anymore.
Ha! It's because
Your
you
team
took too long to
5.
get back here.
My team
Alright.
sucks.
I had 4 last time.
So this chasm goes down into the very foundation of the world.
What light through yonder
What was
window
seven-
breaks?
What was it? 7 points you spent on this thing?
I spent 4 on the chasm
Oh,
and
yeah,
9
4.
on that.
So
Yeah, you can just make it up when it's like
Alright.
half squares and stuff.
so anyway,
I just put it diagonally.
so
across
it
4.
turns out the foundation of the world is the elemental plane, the primordial chaos. So that's what's at the bottom. It's basically a great big portal to the primordial elemental plane. So that was 4 points. That was what I was going to have in my infinite chasms.
Well, I'm happy to host.
Yeah. It's really far down though.
Well, even once you fall in there, when you're in there, you might be just falling through infinite air or infinite fire anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Or infinite to the two.
I put a note on the map that's infinite
I can give you the
chasm to
context for
play.
that later.
I am curious, I must say.
Alrighty. So that was 4 points, so I got
Who's your favorite?
8 left. 8 left.
I can play it for you.
I'd like to say
That's
that
actually why I buy them.
I'm surprised by
Robin-
Brian doing that, but not
we're
really.
going to buy non-fair trade, even though these aren't her favorite chocolate bars, but they're fair trade.
Let's
So.
put some more mountains over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Fair trade chocolate's the way to go.
More mountains. Okay.
Have chocolate. Chocolate. Merci.
There's an artist named Logan Whitehurst who did a very tiny songs project where he got a bunch of ideas for people to basically give him ideas for like minute-long songs, and he got like 80 ideas, and most of them were really stupid.
I'm making a
And one of them
giant
was
mountain
Nathan.
here. So it's weird. It's completely hollow.
What is it?
I'm sensing a recurring theme.
Go on and like pick it up and listen
What?
to it.
What is it, Shannon?
It's a big, huge single mountain
Oh, wait,
in one thing, but it's hollow. Not caves, like not hollow like caves, but like completely hollow.
Is it made out of any kind of weird material, like
No,
solid
it's rock.
iron? Just rock.
It's rock. It doesn't look like from the outside. It doesn't look like there's little trees on it and stuff like normal. mountains. It's just kind of big. But being inside, it's hollow.
Oh, I didn't know.
So that would be someone just submitted infinite tube of toothpaste, and so we wrote a song about it. That was his policy.
Yeah.
You're not done yet, are you?
No, I'm not.
What'd
I
you do,
got 5
Brian?
points.
Mountains. And also I put something in the infinite chasm.
What'd you put in the chasm?
The primordial plane.
Okay.
At the bottom of the infinite chasm?
Yep.
I thought I was hearing a baby. I was like, what?
I was just showing him the toothpaste song.
Should hear the songs Betsy writes. Or makes up.
And here's a forest of really super tall trees.
Ooh, tall.
Super tall.
Like
Are
bigger
we
than
talking
the
about like
redwoods.
redwoods or like jungle or like boab? What kind of trees? Like redwoods.
Indoor.
I'm going to start getting or
Cashew.
finishing.
Maybe once you create some
I assume that's your last
fertile
piece.
lands or something like that.
All right.
Something that's
Wait, something that doesn't suck?
Yeah.
I did that in our last world building.
What?
Made really nice fertile lands. That's the line of a
Party's
graveyard.
never been there.
Well, I have more plans for this island.
So, there's a chain of volcanoes here. Let's see, how many points do I have? I actually have 15 points.
I have a question about this line.
It's a river.
Oh, okay. Oh,
We
is
should
that
make
what
a
this is?
line beside
I
it.
guess
so
you
it-
could just always say that just things that didn't have anything happen to in geography, those are the places where
Yeah.
people
There's
actually
a
live.
eraser, Joe, there's an eraser at the bottom
They're
of
the
that.
normal places.
I guess I'll just...
You spent all this time.
I guess all of our races will just have to be really hardy. They're like, yeah, we could have lived over here where there's actually fertile lands, and we
under the
decided
water,
to
too.
live where it really sucked.
Some of them are... They're sort of like, they're an island chain here.
No, it's Hawaii.
Maybe it's the if we're just over here, everyone will ignore us. This land is.
Did you say that
There's
there's no
definitely a
arable
fault
land?
running
Is that
right
what
through
you're
there.
saying?
Oh, I was
That's
just-
what I was going to say.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There's a giant crack to the primordial plane and then a chain of volcanoes.
Yep.
That makes a certain amount of sense, actually.
Actually, it turns out that the planes are actual real planes, and they all just run like this. So we've got the plane of fire, the plane of chaos.
My main concern is if the ocean breaches the side of that chasm.
Oh yeah, the ocean would.
Yeah.
So, this, which is poorly drawn, is, it's all geysers. It's very,
Yellowstone?
yeah, it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like
Hydrothermal.
geothermal. Yeah, it's
Hot springs and
yeah.
mud. What are those mud pools
Mud
called?
pots.
Mud pots.
Yeah, so I'll just
I love
write
the mud pots.
hydrothermal so you know what this crappy drawing is.
Remember the mud pot guy who was talking about the dragons?
So there's a chain of volcanoes here, and then there's like geyser and hydrothermal all around them.
That was the best. What?
Your turn, Tim.
Yeah.
That's the
12. Okay, so
Well,
for 4 along here, along the edges of the chasm are crystalline growths as the basically there's crystallized law and order
You know.
in the world that's sealing off the plane of primordial chaos. They're called the waystones, and they're starting to grow to try and close the wound in the earth.
That's why the
So
ocean.
they're poking out. They're poking out of the thing. That's 4 points at least with 8.
I'm gonna write waystones.
So,
I was
so
thinking really
remember,
complicated.
whoever once someone's done describing their thing, while they're finishing drawing it, the next person can be started.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Points.
forest this with really lush forest. Good for timber. Spend 8 points on it.
I have the 9s.
So that's 1, 2, 3.
I spent 7 on the mountains, so.
Oh, glass sea.
7.
What?
Glass sea.
The glass sea.
Yeah, a sheet of glass.
We can do that after the,
That would
the nukes.
that would be.
There's
Yeah.
There's probably going to be
I was
nukes.
thinking like
recreate the
salt,
farmland.
thinking like a salt sea. or whatever. You know, it's just all dried up.
I was just trying to think of fun.
Of course, I stole that out of National Geographic. I was flipping through a bunch of old
That was a good idea. I was just thinking that. I'm like, I wish I had a laptop so I could go through National Geographic.
Thinking of pulling a Mediterranean?
Pulling a Mediterranean?
Pulling a Mediterranean. When the Gibraltar Straits close up, the Mediterranean dries out.
Yes, that's what it was about, those straits.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're so interesting. There's like, yeah, huge lava pools and...
Really? That's cool.
I mean, look at this.
Yes, we
I mean,
can.
just look at this.
Let's go right.
Anyway.
They're really fun.
Thailand.
I'm going to make an area of bountiful fishing lakes and sort of a Finland or northern Canada sort of lake.
Minnesota.
Yeah, like lakes.
Great Lakes before they were polluted.
Lakes built by like the glacial melt. So they're kind of like
Small, like pot lakes?
small, like crazy
Good fishing.
lakes with like very tiny isthmuses between them.
Mika made
Stars in
Finland.
the air.
Look, Robert, when you said your island is full of caves, this is what I was thinking of, like underwater caves.
Yeah, it could be something like that.
Okay.
Although I was thinking
We needed a
not
place to be the
underwater,
center of evil and corruption of the world.
But it,
Robin, remember you
knows
can start while
water
Mika's
can
finishing drawing. So.
I already started.
I'll say 8, 9.
I think we need some more desert.
It'll be like Dark Sun by the end.
I made a nice
I'm
house
gonna
for
start-
civilization.
I'm gonna
Did you
start
get
adding
that on
some-
purpose for Mika?
Yeah.
I'm going to start making some ultra desert in the middle of all that.
Excellent.
What's ultra desert?
I don't know yet.
it's even worse.
The desert dies of thirst.
Oh, I know what I'm gonna make.
And this is like,
Why is it my turn next?
this is really good crop land.
But there's no one to make crops.
Well, it's really fertile land.
Yeah, it makes sense. It'll be land that's good for crops.
I'm just doing this to show fertility of land.
Yeah, that's good. Symbols are good even if they don't entirely make sense.
All right.
This is Finland.
Finland.
7
Excellent.
plus 2 is 9.
That's what the translation is in,
Makes sense.
in
So
your map.
I'll spend 3 points to finish off my vertical steep coastline.
Ultima 5 was the first game I ever played. Oh, sorry, I'm talking to you. And
And then-
there was the Fens of the Dead. And I didn't know what a fen was, but it was really creepy.
What is that?
You go to the Fens to get mandrake
Okay.
root,
Yeah,
but it's
you poison
Yeah,
yourself
this is
all the
diet.
time.
yes, you die for
Yeah,
that.
I was gonna offer to, but then
This
This
so
whole area is
talking
very
yourself.
stumpy. We've
Shannon's
got
my cousin.
Finland, we've got mangroves.
Sorry, Robert. What did you say?
I didn't say anything yet.
Well,
actually what I drink all day.
Finland isn't that swampy,
Oh.
but
This
in order to evoke Finland, I called it
This
Finland.
these 4 squares here, it's one huge, steep, horrible, like immensely tall mountain. It's just one huge vertical, straight up rock.
Is it like volcano in the top where there's like a cavity in the top with a lake in the middle?
Or
like
Literally?
Yeah, a mesa.
No, it's an active volcano.
Oh, so it's not a mountain, it's a volcano.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
There's a bit of a hot spot over there, it would seem.
Mm.
Alrighty. I will go.
It's like a column of rock with a
Yeah.
volcano, like a volcanic opening on the top.
And it's like really rough and
5,
just
6,
nasty.
That's what I'm
7
making.
points.
This is easy, I don't even have to think.
Oh, I still have 2 points left.
I'm gonna add that.
No,
I
right
guess
there.
I'll save my 2 points. Our bonus max is out at 3, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Brian's connecting
John, you
buttons.
can't see color, but there's no color here. It's
Looks
not
right to me.
cyanide.
Looks
Weird,
right
eh?
to me.
Well, it's reddish.
brownish.
And
But I'm just saying
I've
there's no
got
green.
Some
Yeah.
points to spare. I will.
Isn't it
not
interesting
want to
how
live there.
the
Isn't it-
climate in the
We're
Holy Land
fighting for it?
changed?
Well,
Oh,
along
it used to
North
be more.
Africa.
It used to be.
Yeah.
I will.
It's interesting.
I'll extend the vast caverns.
And a lot of
from
it's
the
kind of by
surroundings
man too. That's what I find just kind
along
of
these-
frightening to think.
into the-
Yeah.
Well,
into the-
partially by man, a lot by
Yeah.
goats.
Goats?
Yeah.
Goats
just
are
'cause
one of the
they
most
ate-
destructive creatures in the world. Just because they'll eat any and all of the
So
food.
then there's all the erosion.
And they can operate AK-47
Although humans are the ones who made there was so many goats there.
and provided the AK-47s.
People get their lawns mowed by goats.
There's other random ideas, believe it or not, but a place where the rocks float.
My second pet
Place
was
with
a
the rocks.
Well, we've got Cloudstone in the world of the graveyard.
pumas.
Oh, you do have that too?
Yeah.
They don't float though; they fly.
Well,
There is
they
an
float.
oasis
Just imagining a place where rocks are just like,
in the center.
terrain which
Yes,
is floating up
I
into
love
the
that.
air and stuff like that.
Yes.
Look at this.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Can we make this too?
Sure, but that's like more of a low scale. You can just say, "I want that to exist."
I want this to exist.
Well, there's the redwood forest over there. It could exist in the redwood.
Yeah.
they need big waterfall. Yeah.
There's only one river in this whole entire world.
Yeah, we're gonna. I was gonna add
This
some
is-
on my next turn.
Yeah, it's also assumed that like little things that aren't
Yeah.
important are just there. So like, you know, if there's only one river in the entire world by the end of this, there's just going to be one big river. There'll be little rivers here and there.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just that that's the
This is
most
like the
epic of the
Amazon.
rivers.
Yeah, and if no one ever makes goblins, there might still be goblins in the hills. It's just they were never important to
Like,
world
that's
history.
that's the Nile Mazon.
And then at some point, somebody could create them and say, "Oh, those goblins that have always been in the hills suddenly have done something."
Something they
Alright, I'm
made
starting
good for
making an
themselves.
ice sheet here.
Cool.
Oh, cool.
I can only make this much right now. Feel free to work on it if you have extra points.
I was right.
Can we make
Oh,
muskeg?
Well, I'm sort of done adding weird things myself.
I'm gonna add a weird
There's
thing.
I don't want there to be too many
Muskeg
weird
can be
things.
like.
too.
Margaret, would you mind just shifting out of the way because I need to get. Or actually, maybe
Yeah.
Farrah, you can roll.
I just can't. I don't know how many points to make.
You're right. I can roll.
So this is the bad desert.
Oh yeah. It's a deserty desert. It's just
Yeah.
desert.
Sandy and dry.
This is the not bad desert. There's.
Well, there's a little oasis.
Don't do my desert.
I already did.
Not you, Pam.
Oh, okay.
What are you doing in my desert?
You
There's
got
an
oasis.
oasis in it.
Yeah.
No,
Our desert has an oasis in it.
that's interesting.
Maybe it's a mirage.
Why do you want the desert to be completely inhospitable?
So this
Nobody will go in it if it's
this
completely
sounds like an
open.
oasis.
Well, I
It's part
actually
of
had
my
a plan.
character plan.
Okay.
But
Well, originally I wanted to make like this huge, really marshy, wet area, and then
Count that as two
later in,
squares.
in the next cycle turn it into a huge desert. That was my plan. But if it costs like so much per square, I could never turn a huge waterland into a huge desert.
Just like the weird cold jungle that doesn't really make sense. Strangely, there's a dry jungle here. It's like the plants are just like jungle plants. They seem to survive just fine, but it's still just horribly dry. It's right in the middle of the desert. It's not moist there at all. It's just there's this weird dry jungle there.
I'm totally making a race of lumberjacks. There's too many weird trees.
Oh, and that was only 2 squares, and then I'm going to spend the rest of mine making farmland, so someone else can start going. I got.
I was like, but that ruins my desert plan. But I can just smash it. I forgot.
You don't just smash it.
You said we could. You said that's good to smash your things.
I guess. Yeah, but it's cool. It's a dry jungle.
No, it's
Terrain is different. Okay,
It's not
the terrain is a little bit different, though.
Story to it.
It will be smashed in an epic manner.
Will there
the
be,
civilization.
I have a way to smash it.
will it have a
Maybe
dry
there's an
forest
underground
fire?
spring or something.
There'll
Can-
be a
can you
dry
let me
forest
smash it?
fire.
Sure, you can smash it.
Okay.
The
I have
sand
a
golems
plan.
will have a war
We
against
could-
the jungle
You could put a
dryads.
city in it first before, because then it would be cool to be like searching through the desert for
Yeah,
this.
Tim,
and
you
it-
can be going.
Forgotten
Oh.
city.
Shangri-La or whatever.
Mhm.
Oh, Tim loses.
One of the races I wanted to create would fit well in the desert, and they could start.
My key race has to be, well, yeah, it's desert.
Really?
But that jungle is really dry. It doesn't really like there's no water there, so it's not like an oasis. Like it doesn't. You'd be like, oh, sweet, an oasis, and the ground is still covered in sand and it's dry and there's no water here. And why are these trees alive? No.
Yeah. No, that works perfectly for my race.
Yeah, and actually having jungle there will work fine. As long as this is
Mind you,
sufficiently
Tim?
large that it's like a huge inhospitable place that people don't tend to go to.
Look at all that farmland. And there's no one even to work it.
So, meandering through the Badlands, coming in and out of the earth at strange and unexpected places, and occasionally changing its course, is a river that has been heated by subterranean. It's a thermal river, basically. And it comes in and out of the ground and changes its course oddly, and wherever it goes, the Badlands bloom in hidden valleys.
Does it produce steam too?
I imagine it
This
must.
is freezing.
Yeah, well, it's
So it'd be
but
like- it'd be like clouds or
in these misty valleys, the Badlands bloom because of the heat of the river. And you know, when it submerges again and changes its course, as it does due to occasional we have a very tectonically active world. It must be because the waystones are fighting
But
chaos.
we live in a very tectonically active.
But yeah, basically it's a fertile river valley in the Badlands, but it's unreliable, essentially. So there's a whole bunch of ecological
Oh,
things
so
that
like
like animals that travel from parts of the river to other parts
So
of the
like
river, and plants that grow there.
The river changes courses like suddenly. Sometimes it's there, sometimes there's some movement in it,
And
that part
for
goes
huge
away.
portions of its length, it goes underground and gets heated again and then pops up again. So, oh, right here. River, so that's, I have to have another 5 and I'll spend it on the ice sheet,
Thank you.
which is 12.
I have the power to shape things as I will.
4, 5.
What's that? This jungle,
It's a
this
very
forest is really tall.
tall-
trees.
Not jungle.
Redwoody.
Yes.
Very tall tree place, okay.
Very tall trees. Tall trees. Very tall trees.
Now that I've had chocolate, I can't have grapes.
That's the
Do
excuse for
something with
everything.
that island there.
We actually refer to those grapes as beans.
We do.
Is that Cockney
Me
rhyming
and
slang?
no, I don't believe that. In fact, I will
What's most
injure anyone who
Yeah,
does that
it's
in my
most of
presence.
northern Canada.
Yeah.
It's
For some reason,
That sounds
Betsy
like a
and Laura and I
challenge.
had a meal.
basically
when we
marshy,
all the-
Oh, it's kind of like my Fenland over here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Except it's frozen. So
Yeah.
it's frozen marsh, but in the summer it's super
like
dangerous because it's like
muskeg?
super deep.
Mm.
Like
It's
muskeg.
muskeg.
So, yeah, muskeg.
So
Where's that?
Where's the
Where's
muskeg?
Are you
I don't know. He was suggesting I put muskeg on this island.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was Tim's thing.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like super deep swamp that's usually frozen, but in the
Fly
summer you can
Island.
sink into it and die.
Or Winnipeg.
Winnipeg.
Every so often,
Take that, Brian.
northern Canada, you see winter
Don't you have it?
No, I remember reading an
It's
article
in the
about.
funeral.
we don't want to bring it down.
I remember reading an article about it was one of the big mine trucks, not the 4-story ones, but like one of like the 2-story mining trucks,
Yeah.
and it just went into the muskeg and was gone forever. There's no way they're getting
That's
it out
like
of there, right?
12
My dad
there
lost it when he
entirely.
was surveying. They lost a quad.
I'll just do
Like,
something
you
the
couldn't-
entire island, and as soon as I figure out what that is,
Okay,
you just carry
I
on.
already did my things. This is an area of the ocean that is strangely affected by whirlpools. We don't know why. Before. Oh, it's just and I'm gonna make some more tall trees.
I was worried you were going to say more desert.
I will eventually.
You,
It's good, Robert. Desert is fun.
Having a gigantic desert is interesting.
Yeah.
It's like
Very
you aren't
interesting.
crossing that thing unless you make it to the jungle, and that's not going to help you actually. So don't bother.
Some really fun campaigns which have many sessions just trying to survive
So-
through the desert.
it would be really ideal to put something really awesome over here, I think. Although that's not what I'm doing.
You mean like more
But
desert?
remember, we haven't even done anything civilization related.
Yeah.
A lot of the awesome stuff was going to be civilization.
I suppose, yeah.
But something to like put a reason to travel across.
Yeah.
A civilization?
You could have
Yeah.
awesome farmland down there.
Yeah.
All those, yeah. I mean, that's,
Just a civilization.
That's a good point. I should put some whirlpools over here too, so
Anyway.
we can't get to my desert. Here
I think this
Yeah,
island
yeah.
is largely populated by ginormous pillars of salt.
Ooh, I like it.
It's because they look bad.
that's what I was thinking. There was a bunch of people there, and they looked back.
They're all facing the wrong direction. Anyway.
13.
Man, why do I roll ones?
Well, it's 10, 13, plus 2 that I saved, so that's 15. Well, I'm going to spend 5 on this island here, and it's going to be an island in the sky.
That's a good idea. I was thinking about the floating.
Skyland?
I was thinking about floating rocks and stuff, but I think making a whole island floating. That's a good idea.
So that's the in the points.
It's neat because I was originally thinking of making like an Arctic area, so that's cool that that's been done.
I'm trying to decide what to put in between that.
Whose turn is it?
Well, I'm still going. I still have 10 points to
be
spend.
interesting.
These
hard to think of
right
places
here
that aren't so small.
is
The salt skeg.
right here is a mountain range that's very tall and difficult to get past.
Isn't that cool?
Think of the thousands of years of
that's-
wind erosion that created those unique
You had 10,
patterns.
you took off 3.
So,
7.
These
7.
patterns of huts.
2, 3, 4.
I'm totally going to destroy all those salt pillars.
You're gonna make it very windy
Anyway, I think
there.
Brian can
First,
go.
you have to
Dominoes.
first you have to
He's
create a
done.
race
Yeah.
of peaceful
Okay, I
natives
only
that
got-
live between the salt pillars, and then you have to destroy them.
These are
I
like a
only
lot
got
of small
I only got
lakes.
6 points this turn,
It's
so
like
I'm going to
just
continue extending the
nice.
gigantic, massive cavern system.
What did you put there, Robert?
A lot of small lakes.
Robert! That's what's gonna
I'll give you some extra space to work with.
No, there's
He
got
blocked it
to be
off.
nice stuff down at the bottom.
You actually
Otherwise,
have,
there's no reason
be
to go
Desert
across.
is nice.
You can
It's so
Robin,
symmetrical.
Robin,
You can't get past these mountains.
Robin, you can turn ocean into land too. You could just be like for example, if you wanted to, you could be like, oh, and over here is desert. You could bump the desert off the edge.
So I'll have 2 more.
What?
You can change the
Extend the desert
coastline.
out here, for example.
I mean, generally you don't want to change the coastline too much because that'll cause weirdnesses, like it'll screw up what people were doing. But if you want to,
I could,
Anyway,
yeah, but I
yeah,
could
go
lerp
ahead.
it out.
No, I'll save those 2 points.
If I
I think
You
I
had
have
your
That's
points
good
that you had from before.
Oh, you're going to linear
I only have
interpolate
three
it
on the
out?
dice.
Does anyone need anything from upstairs?
I need everything from upstairs.
Oh, well, I should.
You probably got 3 by
Map's starting to get crowded.
yeah, soon, like once it's sort of full up of features. And you know, another thing
We
we
do
can
need
assume
something that
A
in
Shangri-La.
the area that was dominated by the grapes.
Well, we don't
we
have
probably need at
civilizations
least
yet.
No,
a
but
landmass down there.
the sort of the
As I'm gonna put a landmass
geographical
down
elements of
there.
a Shangri-La, whereas everything is nice and idyllic and you know.
Yeah, I think
Well, that's kind of what
musky.
I had in mind over here.
Was it
Well,
musky?
anything that's like
Musket.
just one,
Musket.
one
Salt
square,
Yeah.
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So
This is
I'm assuming anything blank is probably
Not
plain.
necessarily
So I'm assuming this stuff is like super
work.
fertile land, but probably anything blank is probably reasonably fertile land.
Yeah.
So
Because
it's basically
It
plains
works well too
of
because
whatever
you
ecosystem.
have to go through
Yeah,
the
it's just
immense
plains.
desert,
Tundra,
the big
grassland,
mountains, and then
savanna.
Or
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, if anything, and so we probably
So what would
will.
hot plains be? They could
Unless
just be like
who would do
savanna.
that?
Maybe let's go around
in
once
the crazy
more on
campaign,
geography,
actually, there's
Is
very
that
little
enough?
sailing going on because of the mermaids.
or not.
There's,
If
there's 1 or 2
They
areas that
hate
are.
ships.
well, blank
Very
areas will
good
be
at
plains. That'll be
Yeah.
good spots for civilizations.
Well, for
So we
instance,
want a few spots.
oh,
But yeah.
this is a cold island on a nice sheet kind of place.
Well,
What are you doing, Shannon?
I'm going to do something on it, but I'm not quite sure. I have a bunch of corners. Like, I can get like this much.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, you can always do it in 2
I
parts.
want to make this like Iceland, where it's like has lots of geothermal things
Well,
to
that's
keep
up
it
there.
warm.
There's already.
And
Like Shannon, this is already really geothermally, this stuff, because there's some kind of, isn't it?
Yep,
Yeah.
it is.
I mean,
It's a
usually
bad-
that-
it's a geothermal river through the Badlands. So
yeah,
it's,
Oh, okay.
This is the
It's not-
Badlands. I want to make mine a fertile place. with
so it's
lots
tundra, fertile tundra.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, just fertile in the middle of ice.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can.
Of,
I mean, if you're gonna do it
it's
across.
it's probably heated by geothermal to keep it warm enough.
That would be awesome in Civ.
Normally you can't overspend, but in this geography phase, I would say like if you're like a couple points from being done, just go negative and just because you would just basically fill it up next time.
I only have.
Well, it would also
12.
make sense if you did it on a southern half of the island or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do the whole island, just part of it.
Yeah. When it's
So what are you?
there.
So we're
This
doing
is
Making it
very fertile.
Mm.
Fertile. It's warm. It's ideal growing conditions. There's lots of moisture.
The whole notion of latitudes is a little bit
My
weird
one.
in this world.
Yeah.
Well, it could be just during the summer. It's like that, and then it has a winter,
fertile,
right?
but it's very green.
Like central
Think-
Alberta
Think
is
Iceland
Verdant.
green.
Hmm.
Iceland green.
Yeah, when you said that, I thought.
or
it
like
was
Ireland green.
No, Iceland. Well, but it's
And it could also be that the
rugged.
pool's more over here, maybe. You know.
Well, it's geothermal, so it's sort of unnatural in a
We're
way.
sort of bright Iceland green.
6, 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll say. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Because it definitely makes the map filled with much more
Hmm.
interesting things.
Let's sort of do it like this. So
A
this
little bit jumbly.
this is
One's less jumpy.
The Gravy was less jumbly. The Crazy World was
This
about
is step.
jumbly.
So this is it's flat, but there's not exactly how I've drawn here, but there's a series of plateaus, so it's getting higher and higher and higher as it goes into the mountains, but yet it's quite flat. So there's long flat stretches and there's lower long flat stretches. So it's plateaued, and this is where it goes. This is low altitude. This is high altitude, but it's sort of flattish anyway. Bit hilly. And I'm proposing that this be the last round of geography because we're already getting pretty full up.
Yeah.
So that was my last turn as geography.
Well, I have something that I want to spend a few points on, so, and if I don't have enough, I wouldn't mind going one more round.
Sure,
Well, I can contribute some of mine.
that's true. You might be able to get people to
I effectively want to like surround this area in like reefs that
Oh, I was gonna do reefs.
are
Great.
difficult.
Yeah, so we could work
Yeah.
together.
Right.
I thought reefs would be interesting.
Yeah.
This place needs some.
Okay.
I was going to
Yeah.
put some rivers over there.
I want
Yeah,
this
well,
area to be
I'm
hard to
gonna
get
put
to.
some rivers over here. So I've got 7 points. So I'll have a river kind of meandering into the mangrove forest, where of course
Oh, I
it
should
starts
have jumped my desert.
to head up, and have another one over here. Also feeding into your mangroves. And a third one here.
So this is Highland in the middle then?
Yeah, it kind of comes up.
Mm-hmm.
The river down there. Actually, this looks like it's starting to look like really good land there because
Yeah.
you got fen land, you got the mangrove, and then it just
Yeah,
kind of
there's
and then just
basically-
everywhere north of it goes down the pond.
Well, we got a nice place here and we got a nice place there, and I think this
This
nice
is
place
nice.
here.
Yeah.
There's a
nice-
couple of
nice-
nice.
Well, it's
places.
any
It's
place
maybe
that's
not
blank
good
is
for
nice.
agriculture, but it's good for like cattle and raising.
Well, the tall trees.
Sheep,
There's no
it could
reason
be
you
like
couldn't
a
have
bunch of
some
shepherds,
good
like
stuff from
interesting.
tall
Well, this
trees.
whole area is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
having barbaric places next to nice places makes for nice places.
You know, we could just burn this forest and turn it to
No.
farmland.
Don't for my forests.
Or a parking lot.
Do you have any
That's a
idea?
good
Do you have
idea.
any idea how many toothpicks you can make out of a redwood?
One.
A lot.
And a whole lot of sawdust. Enough to absorb the puke from Disneyland for a day.
I'm going to spawn a giant pomegranate tree.
Mika really likes pomegranates.
I don't know what a pomegranate tree looks like,
Oh,
but
It's a tree with a really big pomegranate on it.
but these grow amazingly huge pomegranates.
Yeah.
So there might be
Tree's regular
a
size.
there might be a town
produces
that
giant
could grow around
pomegranates.
it. I think I'll put it in this square, and I'll just make it look like this.
Though on this scale, that would be a pomegranate tree the size of Edmonton, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's
At
it's
the current
taking a
rate
little bit
of this
liberal.
mangrove. It will be the size
the
of this
map is
tree.
symbolic.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember.
It is meant to be a very large. I guess gargantuan would be.
Imagine the toothpick you could make out of that.
It'll help get the seeds out of your teeth.
Alright.
I see what the leaves like.
So that's one of my 9 points, I guess. And then I've got 8 points remaining. So I think I'll set a series of hills.
John, can you look on the internet and see what a pomegranate tree looks like?
Another idea I have, I don't know if I'll have the points for it, is this is kind of closed, so it could be like empty. Like an empty lake or something.
Maybe a series of islands and stuff like that.
Well, we could probably use a series of islands down in the.
This is
Well,
very easy.
islands that are like, small islands like Hawaii and stuff are not even really showing up on the scale of this map. You can sort of assume.
We can assume
But
there's
you can
little
define
bits.
an area.
Oh, yeah,
have a
I
bunch of
suppose.
them, so that way it'd
Yeah.
be like
Yeah.
An archipelago.
yeah.
Mm.
So you can have your Caribbean.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe making a deep sea trench. Would that work for you? I was thinking putting it like here.
Okay.
I don't know what you
Well,
were thinking.
I kind of want to have just the reefs around here, just so it's hard to get to this.
There's a
Well,
drawing of a
Deep
pomegranate
sea
tree.
trench, depending on what lives in it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of like what I drew.
This is the
So
only,
this is like.
this is a pomegranate tree. It's the only one that wasn't a close up.
Okay.
Oh, that's a very domesticated looking one, I think. Is that really how they grow?
All the other ones are either drawings or close ups.
Okay, so this is a deep sea trench.
Or boob bloomer, apparently.
Alrighty. So is that all your points? Only 4.
No, I don't. It's my message.
What are those, Mika?
This is a set of hills.
Okay.
It sort of separates the fenland from the hill riverland.
Which? Where? Sorry?
The hills. From which the rivers
He
run.
just made him for the hill of
Can
it.
I write hill?
Yeah, you can write hills.
So,
You could write it even tinier. You could probably write it even tinier, but I don't know if it'd be more useful
13,
then.
that's perfect.
Yes. Just like that.
So you had enough to completely refit.
I had exactly enough.
Perfect.
Alright. That's 9 plus 3 is.
The salt
12.
skeg.
I'll do 12 points.
You could extend the reefs around the desert. That would make it
No.
too.
Nobody wants to go to the desert.
With 12 points, I will make the desert bloom! No.
You are the piece outside around.
This is an interesting sort of
Yeah.
gulf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have the points, but I was considering just, since it's kind of closed off, just making that like a hollow lake
I
that's
got
just
the
empty.
points. I do that.
Well, it could actually be interesting that it's actually attached.
Let's leave a
You
little
can
tiny
imagine
channel.
it actually touches and there's just like a
Yeah.
hole. It pours in through
Yeah,
like an
like,
underground
it-
cave.
no,
That'd
no,
be cool.
What if
There's
the
a
land
waterfall.
touches here, so you can actually
Oh,
walk across
for
it, but
waterfall.
ships can go
Yeah.
underneath it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's putting your waterfall there.
There's a waterfall from the ocean into this.
Okay. What?
From,
An ocean waterfall?
Yep.
That's
Because
awesome.
it-
And there's
Never
more,
get
more
filled?
evaporation in here than there is inflow from the
Oh, it's
Neat.
a small
Well-
waterfall.
It would make more sense if I was over here in a deserty area, though. So I'm not going to do that. See,
Well, this is very-
I worry about what makes sense.
It's very hot here, though.
There could
I mean,
also
it's
there
the
could be
same-
there could
I
be
like
a
it.
crack. There could be a little tiny crack that goes down to the
Yeah,
elemental
right,
chaos at the
waterfall.
bottom of that pool.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
a,
well, we'll
Right.
have that. There's a waterfall there and a river of ocean water that goes down into a salt flat area down there.
Does it move slowly enough that the water becomes layered? You know, where there's like salt water.
Well, so that whole thing isn't water. That's like, what is that whole area around there? Is that water?
It's a great.
This is water,
It's a
and this is
basin.
water.
This is a big basin,
Yeah.
This is water.
and there's like just salt flats in the
Okay.
bottom of the basin.
That's neat. I like waterfalls.
Yeah.
And Shannon, you get the last.
Hey, no.
Sure.
I had 12 points. That was just like 2 I spent, or 3 there. Spent 3 points there. So I've got.
He wasn't knowing what you were
9
writing.
points
he was
to
just
go.
knowing that John.
I will.
This is fun. fun. Let's not
add
roleplay now.
regular
Let's just make
sized trees all around here.
It'll be more fun when we get to play in here.
No. I don't want anyone ruining my stuff.
It's regular size.
You've talked about like co-GMing with me. GMing may not be your best location if you don't like people ruining your stuff.
Okay, there we
Don't
go.
worry, John. There's nothing there.
I'm done.
We're gonna have a railroad club.
So you haven't heard any stories about my
Oh, you
campaign?
can't go there,
Okay.
Roxfall.
We're all good.
Well, wrap it up then.
Any
You see trolls cave.
Did anything not?
We don't go
Something
in.
down
You
over
go
here.
a little bit further. You see a
Well,
same cave. That's it. We're going back. You go back, but the only way back is to a troll's cave.
I didn't catch it.
We just
What is
came from
this?
that way.
Regular
It's
forest.
magic.
Okay.
So my party, they nearly
What about
TPK'd
garden?
getting into the first town
Okay.
because they started
What about
antagonizing
like
the guards.
strangely domesticated looking garden? But nobody knows why.
Are they
like,
slipping
it's
on
huge
tide
garden.
pools and urchins?
Interesting.
No, they walked up to the
I
town
wish
guards.
you actually had time for that. That'd be
The
cool.
town
Like
guard
a large
passed them.
area, like a large, the size of like half of Alberta that's just
I assume this-
blooming with beautiful flowers, and and there's no weeds. That would be so
Just
cool.
like a nice meadow.
Well,
Well, no, it's just
flowers
like
are weird.
weird.
Spend your
Well,
points.
I made these,
I'm
so I'll
listening.
just make them
I'm
garden.
making some jello water.
Okay, don't spend your points. I made a mistake by saying that.
Jello water.
There's
No Jello water.
over there.
You mean it's like water, but it's really
Look at you
viscous?
can
Algal
No, wait,
water.
better idea, better idea.
The important question is what flavor.
That's a better idea.
If it's algal water, it's
I'm making a
Oh, okay.
That's Sargasso?
Sargasso.
Alright.
No, I think viscous water is a good idea.
No, Sargasso is basically that.
Hey, you weren't there for the Sargasso. So
I was there.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Mika happened to be in the room because that's where back when we played at Bioware.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was there for outsiders. Oh,
Yeah, there's the
That must have been a
Sargasso
shock.
there.
I was going to be the last man standing, and then I was going to die.
Yeah.
And then morning
Yeah,
came.
that
and
was-
You were
Mine
probably gonna starve to death as
No.
opposed to being killed.
No, I think that the zombies would have got me. I didn't have any way to stop them. I was just running
I
away.
think Darian did that.
You probably would have survived that
Everyone
day. though.
died. Didn't we?
What, they
You all
go,
went down.
they go,
Yeah,
go away
the-
when
I almost
then
made.
Seamus got his spells then it became
Basic-
morning.
Yeah,
and
morning
nothing happened,
came.
and
The sun was dawning, and I zapped all the zombies because
Your turn on deck
it was
restarted. Yeah.
awesome.
Alright, is that it?
So I think the important
no.
question for
I
Robin
have
is how many
9
points
more
do
points.
you do everything that
Enough
happened
to
before
get
Robin's
all your
turn?
punishment.
Yeah. Can I save my points for next?
Sure,
Yeah, you
but
can.
if you have more than 5, then you lose your bonuses.
Yeah.
What?
I still have 9 points to spend.
Yeah.
You could fill in the rest of the ice sheet.
Can I just say this is ice sheet?
Sure.
Yep.
Here, I'll make
We
it for
honestly
a
don't care what happens at the extreme North Pole.
Yeah, there
As
she
a mighty ice sheet.
Shannon, you can make some
And then the
glaciers.
whole campaign takes place here.
Here's some glaciers.
So we're
Or three
Yep.
squares
So,
over
Yeah.
here.
I don't know how to draw glaciers.
I think they're like little
just write
snots
glacier
coming off
on
the ice
Fill it
sheet.
in with
Or
white.
icebergs.
So we'll be starting into the first cycle, and it'll be the Age of Legends. I think as long as we always go a full circle each time, we should re-roll for who gets to start. So I don't always start each age. Does that make sense?
I don't, yeah, I'm fine if you want to start occasion. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not.
Four.
I'm not really
Well,
outranking
actually,
anyone at this.
I rolled 11, so I like this plan now.
So we'll just always go full circle each time and start with a new person. So Brian will get to start. You just keep your points and everything. But
Yeah,
you'll
but
start.
she rolled 11 too.
Oh, the re-roll and
I haven't rolled yet.
No, I'd rather
I rolled a 7. So,
Oh, good.
what did
Does
you
it
get?
have to be
You go
below
first. I
5
go
points?
first.
Or does it have to be 5 points?
What?
Below
5 or
5.
less.
5 or
5
less.
Okay, good.
Okay.
And I guess you could just, if you really just don't know what to do, you could just throw away your points, I guess, and say you have
I
5
can't
less.
save them for the next thing?
Oh, you can, but you can't save more than 5.
Yeah, I
Well,
got
you
5.
can, but then you don't
I
get
made
your bonus.
glaciers.
Right, yeah.
You can save
So are we
one.
still at 3 bonus points?
Yeah.
Alright, so.
Did you say that, hey, I'm willing to give away some points? Who wants points?
That's what I was saying. Like, if you're like, I got 9 points and I don't know what to do with them, I'm just gonna throw away 4 and say I have 5. Sure, go ahead. You can do
Oh,
that.
no,
I
but,
didn't
you,
need
but
to do that.
you could say, hey, does anybody want 4 points?
Well, that's true. If someone else
Well,
wanted
that's
them,
the ocean.
but-
Anyway, I got
Yeah.
10 points to
It's no point
spend.
wasting
I'm
points.
going to
we have an infinite number of points, you know. As many as we want.
And
We keep going
legends
around and
here.
around.
Oh, legends.
All right.
We'd be here in a long time if we're spending infinite points.
We got time. We got like 3 sessions,
All right, so-
you know.
I'm going to create humans.
Oh yeah, and just to remind you guys, Age of Legends is mainly for. Again, don't get too hung up on the times, but probably each turn is probably 100 years. Maybe early on it might be more like 1,000, whatever. And
Humans are a very elder race.
races are appearing. Major empires might be appearing.
Where's create city again?
Create city or create civilization?
I created civilization.
You created a race. You didn't
Yeah.
make civilization.
Create race / civilization.
Command civilization creates a city.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
yeah, I forgot. That's actually a very important
Okay,
one.
well.
Creating a city is
there it
command
is. Yeah, found
civilization.
a city. Okay, well in that case I have exactly enough
Might
points
be worth
to
having a
create a
separate
race
line for
and
that.
found a city. So I'm going to create humans, and they are going to live over here.
Oh, I'm sure there's a rule for that. When you create a civilization, you get a free founding of a city. I'm almost
wow.
certain of that.
Well,
Okay,
that's
in that
useful.
case I get 2 cities.
Because otherwise, where do they start from? Oh no, sorry, but it's a
Actually-
race. Let me just check that.
I think when you...
Either way, you can do it, right?
Civilizations
Yeah.
different then?
What's that?
Races and civilizations.
No, they're the same for rules purposes. Civilizations are more like massive empires, whereas races are races. But for the purpose of the rules, when it says civilization, you could also swap out race. It's the same. There are also sub-races, which are like kingdoms. Like if you're like, okay, I made humans, now I want humans to make this kingdom and this kingdom and this kingdom. Each of those is creating a sub-race or a sub-civilization or a kingdom.
This thing here, this is the garden you were talking about? Where
Well, Robin said it's a garden, so it's very flowery. This is
4 squares.
These 4
Oh, yeah.
squares are very flowery. The rest of this is uber fertile land.
Alright, well I'll put the first human city here so that they can get to despoiling it. Now, do I have to spend for the city?
I'm just looking at it.
Okay, either way. If I don't, then I'm just saving for
You
points.
should probably name it.
It is named.
It's Randy.
No. No, it's got to be something that sounds cool. Sulhat.
Oh, you printed off a bunch of things that sound cool.
Yes.
Well,
I got.
That's a good idea.
this was
I
not
got
the name
you
generator.
guys can
How's
use this
that
if you
spelled?
want. I got 3
Basically, go through,
SULHAT.
find words that aren't actually words.
I got
Maybe
3
list.
pages here of random.
Sorry, you don't get a free city, but you do have to define where they start from.
Okay, well.
So they would just, if you didn't
Yeah.
spend them a points for a city, you would just assume they're like in a few little villages or something, right?
Yeah.
But he
Well, I
spent
gave
points to
him
make
a
it.
city.
Yeah.
So I've used all my points then. I had 10. I have used 10.
And
What did
now
you
it's
create,
showing.
Brian?
I created
I
humans.
wish I had done
No,
that.
they're overrated.
I put them by that garden so that they can despoil it.
Shame.
Where are they?
Snake eyes!
There's a city called Sulhat.
Suhat.
Sulhat.
Good thing I have other points
SULHAT.
from
You
before.
could save them. You could have 5 or less.
Soul
I
hat.
have points from before.
Hmm.
So in actuality, I
Weird American pronunciations.
10 points. So I'm looking at the legends.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's basically like. Okay, fine.
Oh, I need to be keeping track of this now.
I wish I had my notes from before. I don't remember anything.
Make it up.
I don't know. I haven't
It's okay.
done this
This
before.
is distant history.
Neither have I.
So
you have.
you could.
I was lying.
Shannon, we'll have time to like if you want a certain race or a certain civilization, we can always do it next
Yeah.
time too. So.
Yeah, remember all of this is going to be devastated by
Yeah.
cataclysms and whatnot. Sulhat's totally gonna get wrecked.
I don't really understand how this part works.
It doesn't have to be all exact. Like, for example, probably there was some time between when humans appeared and they founded their first city, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's just so pretty much the first thing you're likely to do is create a race,
Yeah.
or you might create a legendary being or something. Like maybe there's some sort of like avatar of a god running around. That might be a good thing to happen right now.
Oh.
How do deities work?
They aren't really modeled
Yeah.
by this.
Yeah, they aren't really modeled by this.
Okay.
Stuff like that
You
isn't
found
really
a
modeled.
religion.
You can found religions. Just as a note, you can do whatever you want. I'm not planning. So I'm not planning for the gods to come in and do a bunch of stuff, which makes it like if they're doing a bunch of stuff now, it would be weird. But unless you come up with some reason,
Unless
right?
they all get killed off in one of the phases.
Well, then that means no one can play cleric, which means you need to make sure no one that won't
They
screw
can be
over anyone's
clerics of
character.
principles.
No,
Yeah.
no, you can't.
I'm gonna be hedonist cleric.
So anyway, I guess you can if you want to set
No, I
that
don't
up in the
wanna
world, that's fine.
People
But
get another campaign would try to come over and get you.
so anyway, what am I getting at? You can do whatever you want. I'm just saying that the gods aren't going to play a major part in the campaign, so just
But
factor
you
that
can
in.
make legendary beings that are like gods. They're like demigods.
Or you can say they're gods.
that
It
has
doesn't
all
matter,
the
right?
Well, I'm not saying I want to create gods.
Yeah,
I'm just
like a
wondering
honeycomb
if gods are already in place or not.
Yeah.
No,
you
it'll be
don't.
whatever. I'll
Filling
come up
those
with
details
it.
in, I'm sure.
If you guys have cool ideas, you could just suggest them
I mean,
to me.
you could have some
But
sort
they're
of
not part of
addition that
this game.
worships a giant
Because like
serpent.
I want to create a legendary entity that was created by the gods.
That's just the
That's
backstory.
just,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for they're actually the one way
That's
you
like
can play this
Hercules.
is where each of us are one of the gods, but then like we don't
That
really
gets
have
a little bit
portfolios.
weird,
It doesn't
yeah.
really make sense. I think that's
Anyway,
dumb, but
go
that
ahead,
is a way you
Shannon.
could play it.
I'm gonna make a race of nerd people.
Oh,
Oh!
I was going to do that too.
I was
not- I
also
don't want-
considering that. Let's have an entirely aquatic campaign.
Right here.
Oh, my next turn,
they
all
don't
the
have-
humans
they
get
don't have
typhoid and
cities,
die.
I don't
I'm gonna need a pearl of the sirens
You can
again.
play
They're just
you can
around.
say that they live
Well, I
there.
know what our
They're over here.
Okay.
See this area?
Okay.
They're here somewhere.
I can write
Merfolk.
Up here.
He goes swimming through the shallows, the waist deep stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, except for
Wait, I
them,
forgot there was
it's
water.
more crawling through the
Oh,
area.
no.
What's the human city, Brian?
There was in the
it's
Sulhat,
called
S-U-L-H-A-T.
S-U-L-H-A-T.
You remember I bought that source book for underwater campaigns for
Yeah.
Anyway, they had swamp dwelling mermaids called mermaids.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So we could have swamp mermaids living in the mangrove
Yeah.
forest.
Mango
So-
forest.
I was
Mango
actually
forest.
thinking of making this
Oh, I
up.
want to go there.
Yeah. Oh, if no one else does it, I'm totally making mermaids.
I
You
wonder
know,
if there'd be
they
some
could,
current
they can be blind and use
because of the
echolocation or
whirlpool.
something.
Oh, that's creepy.
Well, how do they see in the muddy water?
They finger around.
They've got sensors.
They have whiskers.
Yeah.
They
They're totally like catfish.
I'm totally making them so that they won't be like that.
I'm
All right.
totally
They don't
giving
have
a subspecies
cool
with
electrical
echolocation.
sensing
Anyway.
stuff.
Carry on,
Underwater
everyone.
Whose turn is
echolocation?
it?
It's my turn.
Yeah.
Sonar.
Okay, so I think I'll do this in this.
Well, if we're talking about the earlier ages, angels and stuff like that, I suppose, right?
Oh wait, I already rolled. I got 10. Okay, so create a race.
6.
So early on in the world's history, for some reason, this just happens. Sort of, it's not really part of this, but for some reason, the stars go to war, and the evil stars win, and all the good stars are cast from heaven, and they crash and they appear as a race. They're exactly like the stars from Stardust, and they're all very good because all the
Not
stars in the
everyone
sky
likes
are all really evil. So stars in the sky are evil, and there's like a race of.
So they look like humanoids?
They look like they look exactly like the stars from Stardust, and they're like super good. Oh, I guess I have to
John,
spend points.
John. Not everybody's seen Stardust.
If you haven't seen Stardust, we'll figure it out. But
They're glowy.
they're all female.
There was one star in Stardust,
How
and
do
it
they
was female.
Yeah, no, but that's what it is. They're all female. They all are like sort of silver and glowy.
The evil ones are male.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
all
makes
the evil ones are male. No, I'm serious. The evil ones are male. The ones that fall to Earth are all female. Only some of them survive, so they just start a small race.
Face plans.
They don't reproduce, but they're immortal because when they die, they reincarnate with vague memories of their past selves. I think I'm going to use the stats for Devas from the thing because that's what they do. They're good and they reincarnate. So I'm going to create the race
Do
with
they always reincarnate as a humanoid?
6 points. And I'm going to spend 4 points purifying them. I'm going to spend more points later purifying them more, but for now I'm just going to
Oh,
spend
right, I
those.
forgot about that.
So I'm going to have them land.
The salt cake.
Actually, unless people don't mind this, I'm just going to have them like all over. Like they're just they're not really a civilization. They're just there's
Yeah.
one of they're everywhere,
That
right?
makes sense
Yeah.
that they would see
And but only probably like say 100 survive. Like there's not like millions or whatever. There's like 100 survive, and yeah, that's how it is.
All right.
Okay.
I'm reading my notes
Ooh,
or my mind.
nice.
I don't know which is more disturbing.
Okay, I'm going to create a legendary entity. Out of the human race around Sulhat arise the 9 legendary Knights of the Banner. Basically, they're avatars of heroism. And you can use them. I'm opening them up for everyone to use them in deeds of great. Like if an army goes to war, they might ride for one side or another. And anyone can use them to get a cheaper action for specifically where they can be heroes against whatever you're doing or for whatever you're doing.
Are they?
But what they're immortal in the sense that they never age, but they are not immortal in the sense that they do not die. Every time they take an action, we'll roll a dice. If it comes a 6, one of them might die. I roll a d10, and then if he dies, we put his grave there. And eventually we will have 8 tombs of the 9 knights with associated heraldry and such that people can go looking for. So that's number 1. Right now they're based around Sulhat, but we'll assume they're adventuring about.
Tim, what's their motivation for helping someone? Like, are they mercenary?
They are
they good?
Each of them has their own particular temperament and qualities. You know, for instance, the Green Knight is the Knight of the Ogre. So he's you know that one character from what's his name?
Just say Stardust.
No, the guy with the 2 cleavers from
The Butcher?
No,
is this
Kratos.
Kratos from God of War?
God of War.
No, not from God of War. From the Asian game that BioWare made.
Jade Empire.
Jade Empire. There's the guy with the 2 cleavers.
Okay.
So
one of them.
Whirlwind. Black Whirlwind, yeah. So just a heavy drinker and a brawler, etc., etc. But as a group, they are lawful good. That's their charter. Okay, so that's 7 points. And for 6 points, I'm going to create a race of... we use the Tieflings template, but instead of being infernal, they are lawful. They are a race basically spawned by the Waystones, and they live around the chasm. And they're basically, humanoids that, instead of being powered by biological processes, are powered by the power of the Waystones, and they hate chaos. So, where a Tiefling would create, fire because he's a fiery being, they're powered by law.
Do they have a name?
Need my sheet?
No,
You can come up with a name later. You can actually you can also feel free to make cities and be like, there's a city here, I don't know, and I'll make up its name later. If you can't think of a name. Because sometimes it's hard to think of interesting
they're
names.
called the Oblin.
Oblin?
Oblin.
Like Goblin, but without the g.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to think of names that you really like at this time, so feel free to just be like,
What
I'm
race
not
do they
naming
emulate?
Tieflings, actually. Because they're basically a race that fights alone. But instead of having an infernal nature, they have a lawful nature.
I have 7. Well, that gives me just enough to create a legendary entity. And
I'm waiting until there's more.
well, you'll have +3 by now, won't you?
Yeah, he rolled 4.
I roll 4.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think the Oblins will create an artifact. And it will be a sort of sentient machine.
Could it be a crystal machine?
Yes.
They're totally crystal themed because of the Waystones.
Yeah.
Actually, we can talk about this later. There's actually a crystal themed race too that you might be able to.
Yeah, the
use.
shard mines.
I know whichever one will fit them better, but whatever.
Yeah.
It only really matters if someone plays one. So if that, whatever.
They're probably gonna get nuked.
But there'll probably be some left
Where's the
around,
machine?
right?
At the southern end there.
The southern end.
Yes.
Looks like a giant zipper.
How could they possibly come into
I don't
the
know what
arm?
I
They
guess
just
some kind of
run next to the
crystal-
infinite chasm.
It's like a computer, I guess.
With
but
the elemental
made
plates
out of
underneath
crystals.
them, I'm sure they're perfectly fine.
I prefer the interpretation of it's a giant.
Does it
zipper.
do anything, or it's just it's sitting there
It's-
thinking or something?
And there's
It's-
laboring to drag it from one end of the chasm to the other.
And so that's
It's
what
not
the
too
waistcoats
big.
are,
Yeah.
you know, the little hooks with the zipper. Yeah.
It's not like a massive structure. It's
That's
it's
what
like,
the artifact
you know,
should be, like-
variable.
Yeah, it's the zipper part.
It's a
Little
sentient
thingy.
machine.
Okay.
So it's a legendary entity.
Does it have a name?
I have not figured that out yet.
Yeah, you can come up with it later, or I can come up with it.
They're called the oblins. It could be called the obelisk.
Yeah. The obelisk.
Okay. I'm gonna create a race. Just trying to figure out where I should.
Actually, reminds me. I never actually explained how combat works.
Mm.
You just decide who wins. You just decide what happens, right? And if you want to, you could even say, "Well, I'm going to roll a dice, and whoever, if I roll one, whatever." Or you can just be like, "No, we crush." And if you're crushing someone else's civ, you just sort of talk to them, and be like, "I'm going to crush your civilization with my army," and then they say,
Why,
"Okay."
thank you.
And I guess you could even just
Or
solve
not.
it with a coin flip or rock, paper,
Yeah.
scissors.
Yeah,
or
however you
whatever.
want to decide it, or just you just decide, right? There's no rules for it.
Who made these oases? Was that you? Do you have a plan for them? Okay,
Okay,
can I
it's just
populate
so-
them?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, there's a race of humanoids here called the Undqua, and yeah, they're sort of
UND
yeah
QUOP. Oh.
QUOI.
I should have put it in the sheets.
Yeah, I got it off his sheet. Anyway, don't worry, their name will change.
Okay.
Anyway, they
Yeah, I'm
live
gonna
there. They're well, I can't say anything about them because I have to spend money, right?
No, you can
just
define
find
their
it.
like I just
Yeah.
did the whole thing with the stars falling from sky and everything. Like
Okay,
you can
well, just
define
to
their
give you an
basic
idea.
attributes.
Their basic
and their
attributes
story.
is they're highly intelligent. They're very inquisitive, highly intelligent, logical, scientific thinkers. Yeah, they're definitely thinkers. They look fairly human, but I don't think they are. They're just humanoids. So do I write them on the map?
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't have enough points to even
You don't
write
actually
in a
even.
city.
Yeah, you probably need
That's
to.
They don't have any city. They just
can
Mere
name cities later.
folk don't have.
They could be nomads.
Yeah.
Mere folk don't have cities. And
Yeah.
have enough.
It's kind of a bit exceptional that the humans got a city right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I'm keeping track of everything that's happening. So, for example, I just wrote Unqua, race of humanoids that are highly intelligent, logical, thinkers, scientific, look fairly human but aren't. They appear in the oases. So even if we hadn't noted it down, we know where they appeared.
So, I want to make the Triforce in this world, but if people think that's lame, I'm willing to not do that.
I don't actually know what it does.
Well,
Yeah, what is that anyway?
the Triforce, you probably at least know what it looks like.
Does it have something to do with a triangle?
Yes. The Triforce looks like this.
It's basically an artifact,
It is.
right?
3 triangles.
Okay.
It was created by the gods. There are 3 fragments of it. There's the Triforce of Power, the Triforce of Wisdom, and the Triforce of Courage. Basically, anybody who obtains the full thing is able to have any wish granted, and it doesn't matter what it is.
Just one wish?
Yes, and it will also it can potentially just even affect the world, whatever. And then it's split into those 3 parts, and each part goes to somebody who fits power, wisdom, and courage respectively, and they get it.
But you could also say that they're actual objects, because for D&D it's nice to be able to find cool stuff.
Yeah.
So you could say, like, if you get it, it gives you some it makes you super
Yeah,
courageous.
Only someone who's somewhat courageous could find the courage one, but then it Ubers up your courage? Is it like that?
It could be. I don't know. I'm not really tied to a particular.
I know the standard Zelda one is it's almost like you're born to have that Triforce, but it could just be an artifact that you can find.
Like when somebody gets the Triforce and they're not worthy of having all 3 parts, they say somebody is really powerful and they get the Triforce, then basically the wisdom and the courage part shoot off and basically somebody else gets it. They don't even necessarily know they have it.
It could just go and shoot off and hide itself somewhere.
Yeah, and
so
like
has to go on a quest again.
Yeah, and one could even just attempt to
Artifacts like
find all
die.
3 parts and become all powerful or whatever. Yeah, and its location is unknown.
I like the idea of like having
I did not roll my
a
dice.
magical artifact thing and not even knowing you have it.
5 plus 2 plus 3 is 7, 8, 9, 10.
Did you ever know?
Yeah, because that's 7, so I still have 3 points.
You could save them.
Yeah, there's a lot of big cost things in this phase now, so
I
it's
think
harder to use.
I don't understand why event is more expensive in history. I think it should be the same. I'm officially deciding it's 7 in both.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay.
Because, like, for example, a king being assassinated, that's more of a history thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Could even make it cheaper.
Yeah, I'll just leave it at 7 for now.
Well, okay, that's what I'm
All
doing.
right.
I'm creating the Triforce.
So I got. Okay, so that's 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 points.
And don't forget that you guys in this so that we're in the 2 cycles. So we'll do this in the Age of History, and then we'll do another Legends in History. During those 4 thingies, you get your 2 free catastrophes and 1 free cataclysm. I'm just reminding you.
In the total?
Yeah, so there'll be Legends History, Legends History, Legends History. But in the first Legends History, that's when you have to spend your cataclysm and your 2 free catastrophes.
Did we do 3 cycles? That seems like a lot.
I want there to be 3 cycles. And we'll just have to spend more sessions on it, but
It would be cool to have a lot of runes and like rich history.
I'm expecting with all those cataclysms that like lots of stuff is going to get busted down where we can just build new things on top.
It'll be really cool to have all this history. And
Anyway,
that would be awesome.
I'm spending 4 points to make Mire Maids, just as I threatened, and they don't echolocate.
Oh, come on, Brian.
They're basically mermaids, but with an almost alligatory thing going with their tail.
Oh, cool.
Instead of and they live in the mangroves area.
Alright, somebody write Mire Maids.
Mire Maid.
I shall take care of that.
Is it our maid?
No, it's a bar.
I heard things.
Sorry, they have an alligator
He's
tail.
Oh no! He's agreeing with me.
They have an alligator.
Anyway,
Brian, they have an alligator tail. What else?
no, well, it's still like flukes and stuff. It's just sort of cosmetic, you know. They're still got the tail flukes and stuff. It's just that they have like the green scales and sort of rough.
So they don't have feet down there.
Right. And scaly underbelly so they can crawl over things and stuff like that. They're more of a semi-aquatic.
I like them.
Oh, do you have a lot?
Oh yes,
with your
I
race?
still have 4 points, and I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of.
Are they part of your
another
larger
city
plan?
of the humans.
Yeah.
I intend to use them for
Well,
my purposes.
I was thinking it becomes very,
There's
very
advanced
learned. Like a huge
Advanced.
library.
civilization. I
Which
don't have
would
enough for advanced
eventually
civilization.
It's a bad city, though.
With 4
Right.
points, I can
Yeah.
save it.
Yeah,
I'll
but
save
some
it.
of them would remain, and
So
then
I'll
they
have
become
tons of
obsessed
stuff.
with fast and how often they
Unless I
see
roll
it, and then
crap,
they
which
become
I've done every time.
which are
I'm going to
scary.
make a sub race of
Okay.
the
Once
bird
that happens,
again.
I want to use them.
They're the elves of our time.
They're Icemer.
Because first they have to become.
How did they get over there?
I don't know.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. They got over there.
And then they're all
They
just
live
just
under.
steal
They live in this area underneath the
They
ice
probably do that.
sheets.
Are they like
Because
seals?
eventually they're
They're more
gonna
like
become
seals,
once
yes.
they have major predators.
Selkies.
Have
They're
lots
like
of slaves.
selkies, except they don't go on the land.
Okay.
That's, yeah.
They've got
Let me
very
know when
large
I can use them to
eyes,
steal.
and they
Steal
do.
thing. Because then I want a
That could be
cataclysm thing.
Do they
But,
carve out things underneath the ice shelf to make their
Yeah.
stills?
Yeah, I'll make them.
Oh, upside down cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat.
I have to get there
Then-
first,
Okay.
but I have to
That's
make.
how I'm gonna
That's fine.
Well, that's
the jungle.
So they don't really do well in
The
bright
artifact
light.
is going
Could
to
you-
cause some
could you-
trouble.
I didn't hear which one.
if they're close to the surface,
Ice
actually,
maids.
they could sort of see
Oh,
the reflected
wow.
sun through.
Merice
Maybe
maids.
I'll
Yes,
forget the.
selkie type.
take off
They're sort of
the-
sealy.
They're like Icemer. They live
And
underneath the ice.
These ones do echolocate.
Well, they're limited to sex.
Club them.
It's
And
not
they-
like. It's not like dolphins where they can do long range. It's a short range.
Kinda evil.
Kind of.
Okay.
Just
So-
because they can
Anyway,
You want to
Ice
club
Right, I
baby
married
seals.
John.
They do echolocation. What
We
else?
said they were
They're
sealing.
close enough for clubbing.
And they're more like seals. Like so they are.
I'll
thick,
just make a
they
tribe
have
of
layer
people whose
fur.
land it is and it's based on their
But
culture.
they're not like
and it'll be
selkies.
fine,
They
right?
go on land. They don't.
Part of their heritage.
It's part of our heritage, you know.
Okay.
Besides, think of the
Well,
salmon or the cod, which is probably cod. You know, it's important.
Nobody's made cod yet.
I
No, you don't have to
Apparently,
make
I saw
cod.
my
There's
top
cod.
points.
There's always
Go
cod.
ahead. You can also save 5 points. And
We
you
can
got a
destroy
penalty.
cod.
7 points.
Overfishing.
I should do
I
that.
create algae. I create microorganisms.
Yep.
I create amoebas. We have to start like
Dips.
We have to spend 50 points to make air. It's very
First
important.
couple rounds is just okay, make some air. I'm gonna make some air too. I'm gonna make some air.
Oxygen, nitrogen.
I make an elf.
you make too
guys.
much. Oh no!
You so hot.
All right.
They know
Or
what I'm doing
nitrogen.
next.
Uh
Next.
A little bit closer.
I know what I'm doing next.
oh.
That's
What's she doing with
I make my
Xenon.
city.
Oh, a seal city?
An ice mare city.
Oh,
I have your list.
I like it. It's
Oh,
like that
the
hotel
names?
made of ice.
Yeah. So
There
it
you
is
go.
carved out of
There.
ice.
That last batch is
And it's-
there's a bunch of Latinish type names on the last page there.
Something that sort of
Enito.
sounds like. What?
Enito.
ENITO. The city.
Can you put some K's in it?
It's
Enito.
carved. What?
Benitoak.
No.
Oh, they're like
Actually, that's
Inuits.
kind of cool.
That sounds very Inuity. So
Yeah.
yes, they build igloos on the undersides of. Oh,
It's not.
Fun.
It's more interesting than igloos.
Well, there could be the subraids that
It's carved out of ice.
the hillbilly ones do the igloos.
It's very three-dimensional though, because it's in water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay. I'm done. I'm in the city.
Okay.
Some of my words are hard to read, but that's okay because they're not real words, so I can make them up anyway.
So, I'm going to a race of creatures appears here at some point on the steppe. They don't have a. Actually, they probably should have a city right away when I think about them. They're sort of. Well, actually, they're exactly like the Ood from
Doctor Who?
Doctor Who. They have like mind flayer faces. What's that?
They're the dumbest. I'm gonna personally make it my mission to punch
just
every
mean
single one of them in
they
their
look
stupid
like
hand
them?
brains.
They look like the Ood, so they have like a mind flayer face, but their brains are external. Yeah, they have external brains.
Don't worry, they're gonna
Just,
die out.
but the thing is, okay, just listen.
they are,
Just
because they
listen.
hold their brains in there.
Listen, they have a full brain inside their head, unlike the Ood, but they're so smart they need a second brain, right? So they have this second brain that they like it's external to their body, which is very vulnerable. They're super smart. They're like epic geniuses. But if you cut off their second brain, then they just become human level intelligent. So that's a strong vulnerability. So they appear here and they immediately found a city and like start like getting to like advancing stuff because they're like super smart. And sometimes they fight and one gets their brain cut off, but for the most part they're so smart that they just are like going crazy here, right? I don't have
Their
enough.
brains? Where's the second brain?
They hold it in their hand.
Well, the Ood hold it in their hands. I don't.
That's
okay,
not practical.
Okay, yeah, it's not practical. So, in their primitive form, they hold it in their
I
hands.
bet it comes out like so. You know how the Navi or whatever, and they had those like stalks.
Oh, you mean the Twi'leks?
No, the things in Avatar.
Oh.
Yeah, they
Well,
had those
it
like
just-
tendrils.
So the thing is, their brain just unfortunately happened to evolve there. But they very quickly come up with ways to protect their brain, right? So
Like
they can
a
carry it
belt.
in a satchel on their belt, and they have protection
or
over
it
it.
could have been that, like, at some point, early evolutionary, they had a lot of fur and folds, but as they got refined and tool used, it just sort of fell off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Just like us, like
in
we
their-
are a lot weaker than theoretically we used to be, right?
So in their primitive form, they had to carry their brains in their hands,
Much
but
taller.
they're smart, right? So they carry their brains in like protective pouches on their person, but they still are vulnerable because it's external.
Wait for the cataclysms.
So the Ood, I'm not even going to write it down. The Ood appear in this area.
On the-
Oh, and then they
the
actually
steps?
have enough to found a city.
Are you actually calling them the Ood?
I might call nude. I don't know what I'm calling them
No,
yet.
don't call it.
6. Building a city is 4. I'll call their city Ood.
Mm.
I don't know what it looks like. This is the city of the Ood. And that's...
OOOD?
Yeah.
I
I think
it is being spelled UUD, but that's okay.
and...
You said we need like little ones.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I just... Yeah, it's not that big. I just drew it symbolically because a city fills a square
Yeah,
symbolically.
how big is a city? Like if you want an Uber city.
Whatever
do you have to
scale.
double
I just
your
draw a
city
star.
size?
An Uber city would... No city would ever be bigger than a square. I just drew it filling a square
Oh,
because...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
really.
you just erased
Yeah,
it, make
really.
it smaller, and then you made it the same size.
Because-
You can make
yeah.
4 cities
It's true.
right next to each other.
Yeah, well, someone said
And then
that's
they'd be
huge,
like-
and I erased it, and I was like, no, I'm just drawing... And then I was like, wait, no, I meant to do that.
No, St. Albert
Um,
is separate from Edmonton.
And... Oh, I don't have enough... I can advance their city. It's kind of lame, but I guess I will. I'll advance their city. They're super smart, so they basically invent magic, and they're the best in the world at magic. They just invented
Are
magic.
you paying for that?
Yep.
Best in the world at magic?
Yeah.
How many?
I'm
Oh,
pay
you
for
rolled
that too,
high.
So what
Oh.
does that do?
Oh, do you want best in the world at magic?
Well, I want freaking awesome at magic. I don't care if they're the best, but freaking awesome.
Could you define maybe sub-specialties of it? That
I
I
can-
want certain kinds of magic. That's a
Or
good
you
idea.
could just wipe out the U.
I
And then you can be best in the world.
It's sort of like the fairest of them all.
So you...
I
Okay.
don't think my guys care about it. They're too far away. I just want my guys to be super.
Okay, well, it doesn't have to be best. These guys are best in the world at magic.
What kind of magic?
No, let's just make them both best in the world at magic. They're tied. They're both uber magic. That'll be great because they're gonna fight.
Yeah.
So
That can only be one.
yeah. And I think that it leaves me with 1 point
no
left.
way.
All right.
Go
Okay,
Tim.
right. That's 4, 7. You mind if I borrow use of your artifact?
Sure.
I was just gonna say that you use the Oblin used the obelisk to become no, the Oblin, through their use of the obelisk, they become extra lawful. So basically, I'm doing a described civilization here. That's 2 points. Essentially, they become, whereas a human has an instinctual need to eat and, do human things, dwarves like stone, the Oblin have incredible difficulty with the concept of breaking a law. So and especially difficulty with the concept of, not obeying the instinctual commands that the Waystones give them. They're like, of course we've got to close this breach. The same way that a human might be, well, of course I want to eat and become successful, etc., etc. That's what life's for. They believe that, of course we've got to close this Waystone, this huge breach in the world. And I'm going to make them for just, sorry, that's 2 of 7. And I'm gonna make a city called the yeah, we'll call it the Grey Wall. And it's, of course, by the side of the chasm. A, huge fort that they built by the side of the chasm to fight the creatures of chaos inside. Which is difficult because it's a sheer cliff face, but they try. They drop rocks.
Alright. See what I can get up to. 10. Alright. I want to create a race of humanoid phoenixes.
Cool.
And they live. Can I create a city?
It's command civilization creates a city. I should have made a separate row for that.
Oh, okay.
So 10 for both.
Okay. Yeah, and that's exactly what I have. So
Oh, really?
this race of
Civilization.
Command civilization makes a city.
Then I have total something. Cool.
so there's a city here.
Civilization.
And it really just is like they live in the tree and they love eating the pomegranates and they're. I don't have a name for them, but they are the Phoenix people.
The city of
John, where's the
Phoenix.
Alex?
Why don't I just call it Phoenix? There you go.
Alright, Robin's turn.
Okay, so
Roll the dice.
I rolled before.
Oh, okay.
So I have enough to create a city here. So now my Unquoy have evolved, through evolution. And they have become very intelligent. Very, very intelligent. In fact, they are the best at scholarship. Did anyone else favor that?
You can take magic if you want. You would just be both uber magic.
And now
Scholarship
they
is
are
what
the
you're talking
second best in magic. No, I paid for both scholarship and magic.
They can just also. I mean, they can just also be
So-
just as good. They're like insanely good at magic.
Originally, they became very, they were scholars of the physical world, very interested in science and whatever. But as they explored that dimension, they became intrigued into the concept of magic and manipulation of the physical world. And so they became very adept at any kind of magic that has to do with physical manipulation, change of matter, stuff like that. So they have a city. I have not named it yet. I will tell you next round what its name is. It's
Can you
in
make it like a star?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Is the city amongst the oasis. And yes, they are very, very, very smart and very magical. Ding!
And they were humans?
Humanoid.
They look a lot like humans, but they're not humans.
Right.
Yes.
5, 6.
Or something else.
There's something else. I don't know. There.
Alright, I have 12 points to spend. I am going to create a race.
I mean, you can say the same thing about elves and
I'm going to
dwarves and
create a
whatever, right?
race,
You can just make a new variant.
They live in
Well-
the mountains here.
They're quite
They
human.
are dwarves.
But I think they're going to be.
The dwarves have come into existence.
And I'm going to create a city.
What kind of dwarves?
Just dwarves.
Typical dwarves.
Okay.
You know, I'm the dwarf and I'm digging
Gimli,
the hole.
Gloin,
And there will be
Tolkien kind of
a
dwarves?
yeah. There will be a city. What should I call a city?
Bones ringed, boat murdered.
No, Bones Ring was in a
The
swamp.
city will be called Domar.
Is that like within the mountain?
Yes, it's inside the mountains.
They went over there. There's this huge cavern system.
Well, that's just where they happen to appear. They don't know that.
Dommar.
Actually, if they ever
Eventually
expand
they'll
down there,
find
they'll
that,
just be
they'll
like,
be like,
well, they'll just be like, it's Dwarftopia. They have legends of Dwarftopia.
Yeah, there's a city, dwarf city called Domar. Dommar.
There's a place where you don't have to claw through solid rock. I've seen it.
yeah.
They love clawing
I'm
through
imagining this not like as your typical Underdark, but these are like
And that leaves me with 2
whole
points.
valleys with roofs, huge caverns.
That is my turn.
World creation, I guess.
I was doing that on the side.
Sorry. Just remember to go bowerbirds.
That's the
They're
game.
so long. We have to make some bowerbirds.
Well, it's my turn now. Whoop! I dropped the dice. Give me my dice back.
I've seen that video, Robert.
I don't know.
Okay,
What are bowerbirds?
so I had
He
4
built his
points saved last time.
Elaborate mess.
11 plus 3 bonus points is 14
And
points.
then they do these crazy
Now,
things.
everybody's been like creating all these races of angelic, stellar beings and super intelligent wizards and scholars and phoenixes and stuff. We need some evil races.
The Phoenixes weren't particularly
Violent,
good or
brutal warrior race that'll go out and despoil some stuff.
But
You already made humans.
Time for them to do a little spreading about here. Alright, so I'm going to corrupt civilization for 3. Let me see, that leaves me with 11 points.
Are you giving a flavor text to their corruption, or they're just generally bad?
They are expansionistic, and they've lots of warlords and stuff like that. Their culture turns towards feudalism, with like warlords that are strong little power bases. And
Is that all the humans, or is that
currently?
Oh.
They're not that big right now, so yeah.
Over there. And I got 11 points left, so I'm going to found another city further down the river. Actually, all the way down the river. We'll put it down on the seashore at the there. It'll be called Delocia. Delocia. I'll write that here.
What is it? D-O what?
Delocia. Delocia. And I'm going to advance them in the ways of war. They form regiments and armies and stuff like that very easily. Ha!
Alright.
They also hate the Ood.
They haven't even met the Ood.
They hate the very idea. They have legends, and someday, just as the dwarves, when they see those
maybe a couple
caverns, they'll be like, "Oh, now we know what the purpose of our life is."
I named my city. It's SADR.
SADR.
Sadr City, just like in Baghdad.
Yeah.
Yeah, a major
I'm going
suburb of
to
Baghdad is
advance
called Sadr City
my
after
Anytime.
Maqtada al-Sadr, I believe it was.
Well, I
his name.
took part of a.
Well, no, al-Sadr. He's
It's
from.
gonna be the
I
best
took
one.
part of a Punjabi word, but I didn't
Architecture.
the whole word.
Is the restroom just for
So did you
Yeah, it's
did you find that
Bedford
previous
City.
time? I didn't write that down.
I
When
know,
did
I noticed that. I'm just like,
it
okay,
was-
he's not writing it.
So it was when you founded the
I see.
where are those? Okay.
Is Sadr City known for its magic and intelligence?
No,
Sure,
it's a
it
slum.
is
It's
now.
a giant slum.
It'll work.
It's known for its suicide bombers.
So what's the name? Can you spell it?
Well, they have the desert in common.
E-L-I-T-E.
Chocolate. Hey,
Uh,
I like chocolate.
that was okay, and then yeah, and so this time and
Me and chocolate were like this.
Advancing.
That's close.
It's gonna be the best in the world at
You have to get
architecture.
chocolate or snap peas
Because when you can
forever.
I'm gonna
work
wreck-
in 3
I'm
dimensions.
gonna wreck your stuff, everyone.
No!
What?
Everyone's all like, "Oh, they're the best in the world at architecture. They build these wonderful, lacy edifices of crystalline ice."
Oh, that's so cool.
And mine are the best at hitting things with maces. So they're coming over there.
Yeah.
His guys have
Alright, so
clothes.
I'm also going to purify the civilization. Just the ice mirror, not the mirror in general, just the ice mirror.
Yeah.
any flavor for that, or they just become more good?
Oh,
Become
crap. You can't do anything.
Yeah. Just...
Okay.
Then I'm going to corrupt the mayor, like the mayor folk. Can I actually corrupt the mayor?
Not mermaids. You don't have influence over them.
Okay, I'll just corrupt the mayor folk.
Okay.
Let me just how many of them.
My
Go ahead, I'm just
swamp
rolling
alligator
it.
mermaids are going to be the bastions of light and purity amongst all those horrible, corrupt, ocean-dwelling merfolk. Eating chocolates.
Do I have to spend money to, or spend points to make my guys really selfish or self-absorbed? Or can that just be part of their?
That describes civilization.
Yeah.
Unless
That
you
sounds like that makes them sound like they're -1 evil to me. Or self-absorbed, if you mean exclusionist, that might just be described. If you mean like they're actually individually self-absorbed, that might be evil. But if you mean as a
describe civilization and corrupt civilization cost exactly the same, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But if I want both, I have to pay for both, right?
Well, it's just for the same.
You describe it as part of corrupting it. So as part of corrupting it, you can put like why they're corrupting, right? Like they start
Well, because
cannibalism becomes commonplace.
No.
No, I'm not. But I mean, you could say that as part of corrupting them, right?
I
Okay.
consent.
I was thinking,
Well, because they're like the best in the world.
Yeah,
You
I
get
see
to
the
think of the best
bottom.
in the world.
Anyway,
I'm gonna make a human city. Are you loan at
you
making?
can. I currently am the guy in
You
charge
can
of
make
humans.
you can make a sub race of humans.
Or you can establish like a subculture.
Yes.
Yeah, you can make another kingdom.
Yep.
So subrace, so create subrace up here, which
Subrace
costs 4.
/kingdom.
Is basically like creating. You could create a new kingdom of humans.
Okay.
You'd probably want to spend you'd probably want to build a city at the same time because. Although I guess you
Not
could.
necessarily. I mean,
No, you could say a bunch of nomads break off.
Assume that there's a lot of little cities that aren't.
That's
really
true.
You can
showing
say there's a sub race of Nords living in the fjords or whatever. the heck.
up. Anyway, yes.
Njords.
Njords.
I'm gonna save my
Njords.
points then,
Njords.
so I can do more things.
Okay.
Such a Nordy down.
All right.
That's such a
The
Njord.
Ood are gonna found 2 more cities.
I thought you weren't allowed to.
What?
Nothing. Forgot that John had made those.
I'm not allowed to nothing.
Oh, so every city we need to make another
Hmm?
thing.
Ood found 2 more cities.
Oh, so founding a city costs 4. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Should I save my 2 points or should I describe one of them? I'll say. No, I'll save my 2 points. So Ood just found 2 more cities. That's my turn.
Tim turn.
Ooh, good. 13. um. Chocolate. Let's make a race of gnomes that live there. And
Where?
In the hill,
In the hills. Hill gnomes.
hill river country.
hill gnomes. So creating a race of gnomes. 6 gives me
4 for a city.
yeah. Let's give it a city. Let's make it a.
So by gnomes we mean like classic D sort of gnomes, or what kind of gnomes are they? What are they like?
They are.
How big are
They're gnomes.
They're not.
they? Oh, no, like garden gnomes?
They're like
Are they
robo
like-
gnomes.
I never really got that.
Slightly
Gnomes are
smaller.
basically halflings.
I thought they were smaller.
They are nomadic gnomes. Spelled
Except
Nomadic.
yeah. Nomadic gnomes. And they have a. We'll say that Wayne City, built on these great wains.
How do you spell that?
WAIN.
Okay.
City is located. There's.
I'll destroy the jungle eventually.
This jungle?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make some.
You don't have to make anybody dead.
Well, I had something I wanted to make somewhere nearby, but then they need to get destroyed.
Oh. I was basically going to eat up the jungle, making my race.
Oh, okay, that's fine then. I got
They-
somebody.
They're herdsmen, and they herd small horses. And they have a Wayne City that kind of travels around that area there. It moves about depending on the pasture and the lake.
they're gypsies.
Okay, so that's I had 13, but 3 left.
Shoot. I want to see this forest.
I'm done.
I'm going to create, I think a race of salt dragons that live on the towers of the Salt Skeg.
Are they made out of salt? Well, do they melt in water?
They're sort of
That is all.
Super Scoper squads. Forward!
and they will have a Yeah, they should have some kind of city.
Their racial enemy is the slugs.
That sounds too much like when the campaign, we created where Brian ran it. There actually was this race of intelligent oozes that were spawned by the idiot slug, and in the end, a lot of their civilization was destroyed by a massive, like a gigantic, like miles long salt dragon that came up out of the great salt abyss and just like ravaged their civilization.
Actually, I'm not going to give them a city. I'm just going to double corrupt them. They are vile, and they raid they fly around and raid the Ood and the Phoenix civilizations, since they are in range. And they might actually go further than that.
If someone doesn't stop them.
Help them.
Learn to ride them.
So
Wear waterproof pants.
Since not a whole lot of stuff grows in the salt keg.
What's that there?
that's gonna
Do
be
they eat salt?
a race.
They just live on. They just live.
They just, yeah.
What do you call?
They eat other things.
What's the word for like humans who are for whatever reason small? There's there's some in Africa.
Maybe they're partly elemental.
No,
Pygmy.
actual humans, real. Okay,
Pygmies.
I want to create like pygmy, but they're humans. They're not like.
All right.
Wait, would that be a subrace?
That would be a
Basically like
subrace.
Ooh,
halflings.
cheaper. Oh, no, they better be a full race. I don't want to use halflings though, because I don't want to have the idea of halflings. I want to have more the idea of
Small humans.
small humans.
Why don't you want to do
They're not
subrace?
lucky and plucky and nimble.
Yeah.
They are tribal
Why don't you want to do subrace?
because they have a telepathic ability that's just innate that humans don't have. So I think they should get that right. They're very fierce. They're like tribal. Basically, they live in the forest here. They're called the Skitka, and we don't know it yet, but they have this weird telepathic ability. Not telepathic amongst each other or whatever, but they can have a telepathic. Maybe I'll just leave that for now. I'll tell you later. There's something weird about their brain.
Looks like we've got some Ewoks to beat up.
No, they're not furry. They're like scrawny little boys.
Looks like we got some shaved Ewoks to beat.
We've got
They
some
look
real
like
easy Ewoks to beat
Scrawny
up.
little boys. That's what they are.
They are kind of within range, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, is that to me?
Yeah, they might need to be taught the finer points of civilization.
I have a.
Ooh,
Oh,
bad roll.
John, my character I want to play, I think, is going to come from them eventually. So at some point, I could use my points on them. Basically, is that how it works?
Yeah, I think so. As long as it's not like. Yeah, as long as you don't have plans to reform them later. So like my thought was more for like if you're
Well, they
like a
are
member
going to
of
be
that.
modded significantly before.
Yeah. So my thought is just
I
like
would do it now.
if your character's backstory came from this and then you were like turned to stone for 1,000 years or.
Oh, it has to be pretty direct. Okay.
I mean, I guess you could be the sole survivor or something, but like
Well,
they need
How
to
do
be.
you
They,
live?
you basically have to plan for them to
I
be
think
wiped
if you
out.
plan to be a descendant of them, like way down the line, then that's not the same thing.
I forgot what I was doing. They're not telepathic or anything yet. They're just really fierce.
Okay.
And they are, I guess they are small humans. They might as well be
Easier.
as they can.
Super
So
they're
super
humans
tribal.
instead.
Yeah, no, they're
They're
really tiny
separate.
humans.
That
Okay.
means we can't eat them.
You're not that evil. My salt dragons are eviler than
Not
you.
yet.
So,
I'm going to advance them in the field of being the evilest. No,
Evil craft.
no, they're not. They're
I'm going to advance the dwarves, make them the best in the world at masonry, stonework, architecture, whatever. You
I've
wanna
already
say.
got architecture.
Well,
She's got the
mason.
best architectural city,
Oh.
but the dwarves are the best builders
Yeah, the dwarves are the best builders.
in stone.
In stone.
Yeah, maybe not.
Because they can't match the ice architecture because you just can't do something.
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
if
it's
you want
different
be
to
the
be.
best in the world at ice architecture. You don't really need to spend points on that because no one else is doing
Well, no,
it.
because she.
I said architecture.
Yeah.
And it's
If
just
she
build-
spends points on it, it's a wonder of the world.
Yeah, it's like their stuff is really
Spend
beautiful
points
and
on it.
attractive, whereas the dwarves are functional, but like they can like build tall crap.
Yeah,
You know,
and it's
like-
strong.
Yeah, they're strong as opposed to beautiful. maybe.
I'm also going to corrupt the dwarves.
No,
they're
good.
Oh, we started out with way
Yeah.
too many good races.
Well, there's lots of plain. There's
The
lots of
dwarves
neutrals. Like
are-
the Oods are neutral.
the dwarves are really racist. Like, basically, if they see a race that's different from them, they will attack it. Like,
Hey,
They're xenophobic. Basically.
yeah, they're xenophobic. If they come across the Ood, which they most likely will, battles will happen.
So you got salt dragons and dwarves coming at you.
Well, it's good. The dwarves hate the salt dragons.
It really does seem like that part of the map is filled with unpleasant people, whereas over here it's all kind of like...
I haven't got to the gnomes yet.
So we've hit 10 o'clock. We could continue if people want to, but 10 o'clock was our set ending time.
I'd like to continue.
I'd like to continue.
I
We
How
you
about
have
you?
to work.
Pooper of parties.
Can we finish our round though?
That was a finish of the round because Brian started.
Oh right.
So I don't think we're even. I don't feel like we're even done with this legendary phase
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
We don't have the great magic technical civilization. We don't have ponies.
They're doing those in the second age.
Oh,
in the second
well,
cycle.
In that case,
Yeah,
we better
I'm
make
making-
myself then.
I had a
I
couple
have
things
some
I wanted to
plans.
do.
Oh, you need them in the first rate?
Yeah,
No, I
that's-
need to make them because I have a plan of how they're made.
Oh, okay.
So if,
Yeah. Well, I was hoping to have them. Well, we can make them second age. We'll do them second age. I can work with them. That's perfectly fine.
okay,
So
but
we can't meet next week because John's in Montreal.
Yeah.
I mean, we can meet without him. I don't think it would go for him.
You thought about webcamming him in for Monday.
Actually, when do you get back? Don't you get back on Friday?
yeah, I get back, but it's midnight on Friday.
So we meet at midnight.
I won't be here.
So I didn't need the pony names this time. Oh,
I can make them.
no.
on this age. I was just-
You had a
Can we
plan.
do one more round? Or
no, I don't really have
You
a plan.
probably
I
need
was
to
just
go
like,
then.
I don't want
You
to
can do
overload
one more
first
round,
rate
you can go,
cycle
right?
stuff. I don't have any
Yeah.
plan besides how they're made.
That's fine.
All right.
What's the last main one?
The what? It's the last page. Basically everything
Oh,
from
here.
there. Everything with the EA at the end.
Yeah.
After I
Wow,
generated
look at that.
this, everything had EAs, and I was like, that's a little bit samey.
But I was gonna make the gnomes really
There we go.
You can do that next time.
Really what?
treacherous. Like,
Oh, everyone, just write your name on your sheet, and then I'll just keep them here. And then you don't have to keep track of it, and you know how many points you had.
I guess I should write down what
Since
races
mine's
I
just
created.
for reference, it's okay if I take mine, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I have it on my U drive. I got it from Brian's U drive, and the only things I modified were a couple things.
Oh,
for
I
today.
just made some corrections and wrote some comments.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the only reason to leave other people's here is just because they had their number of points and stuff on them.
Yeah. Well, I spent all my points, but I got the 3 bonus things.
Yeah,
so.
same here.
Yeah, I didn't think I didn't think we'd get through the first cycle this time because A, we had to do geography, and B, we had to do all the setup and explanation and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's not unexpected. I kind of thought we might get through the first age of Legends, but we didn't.
Yeah, populate Finland.
well, of course, we also don't have to thoroughly cover the entire map since we are doing 3 cycles.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's okay to have an empty area.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially
Yeah,
since
even-
it's all going to get kind of nuked in one way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking we might only go around once more for this because we can also assume there was little stuff in those other areas, and we're gonna have 3 whole cycles. to go
we need another. Well, of the legends. Then we do.
I was thinking maybe one more round or maybe 2 more
Yeah.
rounds of Legends, and then we go into Kingdom. Or
Okay, good. Yeah, because we still need to make the advanced magic technical.
So it's sort of thought that about every turn of the Legends is maybe 100 years. Every turn of history is like 10 years. Legends, it's really cheap to create races, but in history, it's cheap to command civilizations. So like it's a lot easier to conduct wars in history, but it's a lot easier to make races and stuff in Legends.
Yeah.
So basically,
We're getting pretty loaded up on races. Everyone's got 1 or 2.
And like you can see,
Going
even
along.
command civilization is cheaper. So it's cheaper to make cities. It's cheaper to make armies. It's cheaper to attack.
But we'll have another opportunity to make races next cycle.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's good because that's what I'm going to make.
Because there's going to be
Yeah, we
3
have the
cycles.
radars. Yeah.
Alrighty then.
And like Part of it is I don't feel like there's enough to really cataclysm at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like there's like a few like dirt farms.
I
Me, you're just wipe those guys out.
yeah. I got a couple of artifact like edifices to make and stuff like the obelisk and things.
Well, I don't know, Brian. I think the Ood are turning into a great source from magical civilization.
They are not going to be they're going to be attacked from all sides, but that no giant civilization.
They're somewhat safe from the. I mean, unless they start dabbling in chaos, they're safe from the Oblins.
I'll
Yeah, we
have a
have
faction of the Oblin faction off that hate external brains or something.
Because that's a very chaotic concept.
Yeah.
You can have your D10 back.
Yeah.
You didn't actually get to kill any of them.
Oh, okay. That's right. We haven't really had this big one.
I have a feeling one of them might be used against the Salt Dragons.
Anyway. Yeah. No, I just
do you?
I have such a gut reaction against those external brains that the Ood had. They're so dumb.
Yeah, but that's just, it was just a random fluke of evolution. It made them super smart, even though they're vulnerable, and then they protected them.
Just make their skulls bigger.
What would create a root legend?
Didn't happen.
That's what skulls are for.
Didn't happen that way.
Then they die.
You know, it was probably like the
it
tail
was random,
thing
Brian.
that
You
slowly
can't
evolved
try to
out
apply
of the
logic
tail.
to it.
No,
It was probably a nerve cluster that was in a different.
I'm never gonna like the Ood. Live with it. Anyway.
Doesn't mean they can't be a major magical.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna play
But
as
I am totally
create a
gonna
religion
use
that's
the cataclysm on him. I think.
And that's also how you.
Anyway.